age of digital advancements, given that many things have changed, including how news is consumed and the trust that is bestowed on it. So what is the role of journalism in the whole in the age of new media, digital advancement? That is a conversation I'll be having later on with Zubeida Kananu, who is the president, Kenya Editors Guild, and also Linda Batch, who is the CEO of Kenya Editors Guild. That is a conversation that will be coming to you in the course of the program. And also, in our today's Health Tuesday, we focus on diabetes awareness and advocacy, given that it has been World Diabetes Awareness Month. That is a conversation I'll be having with Dr. Kitinda Acharya and also Justa Mwenda Kajuju, who is the founder of Dear Hope Africa and Young Diabetes Advocate. That is a conversation that will be coming to you in our Health Tuesday segment. But first things first, I want you to think about this quote by Mary Catherine Bateson. We are not what we know, but what we are willing to learn. We are not what we know, but what we are willing to learn. Good morning, Marie.
Good morning to you, Mike, and to all of you joining us from across the country. My name is Marie Ambo, and definitely I'll be bringing you up to speed with Matters News, what has happened in the past 24 hours or 12 hours or so. And so just before that, we want to take a short break, but I'll be back with the news.
Auntie, please nifungulie gate niende.
Nani amekuchokoza niende ni deal na yeye sahi?
Heri wazazi wangu wangekuwa walevi na wanipenda.
Failures. Mtapata shida hapa mpaka mtamani kifo. Nisho mushukulu wenyu Andrea shigwa ya university shiru shikadusha mno hideaway.
Tia found out about everything that happened with Nora.
What did he say? He wants to get a divorce.
You also got their sister pregnant. You're good for nothing.
Take it easy,
Amador.
I no longer have the energy to show anything to anybody.
I need Nora and you to get out of here.
Did you hate me that much? Is it because you thought I stole our father's affection? Is that why? No. Dad? What's happening, Dad? 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 Dad!
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Welcome back. Now, Kenya has signed bilateral agreements with Malaysia to remove tariff and non-tariff barriers aimed at expanding trade and investment between the two nations, especially on agricultural products such as tea, avocado and beef. In a joint press briefing, President William Ruto and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim said the two nations are also seeking to smooth air travel and also collaborate in manufacturing. Anwar, who received full military honors at the State House, is in Kenya for a two-day official visit.
Military honors that included inspecting a guard of honor and a 21-gun salute. Thereafter, the two leaders then retreated for bilateral talks. They signed several agreements, including on air services to expand connectivity and ease of travel between the two nations, a memorandum of understanding to promote tourism, a trade promotion agreement between the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Malaysia's National Chamber of Commerce, and a letter of intent establishing cooperation between the cities of Nairobi and Kuala Lumpur in areas of mutual interest.
This is not just a normal diplomatic engagement. I mean, President, you are able to charm us from Malaysia.
President Ruto saying Kenya is following in the footsteps of Malaysia in efforts to transform to first world status.
As we rise, we draw inspiration from nations like yours that embraced bold ambition over limitation and chose excellence instead of mediocrity. Kenya now stands ready to take its place among nations that we started with, like your own nation.
I have great belief that Kenya will be one of the stars in Africa.
Prime Minister Anwar hailed Kenya's affordable housing program as a great example to the rest of the African countries.
I don't think many countries, including Malaysia, has embarked that fast and that effective because your passion to provide housing for the people, particularly the poor, from Kenya.
Anwar also joined President Ruto in calling for reforms at the United Nations Security Council to onboard African countries on a permanent basis.
Africa has demanded 2 permanent seats on the UN Security Council with full rights, including the power of veto, as well as 2 additional non-permanent seats.
Kenya has reaffirmed its commitment to provide quality education to its citizenry and strengthen global partnerships in higher learning as the country hosts the first edition of Malaysia Africa Higher Education Forum. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba said the forum offers a unique platform to reflect on how institutions of higher learning can be at the forefront of transformation by fostering academic collaborations, joint research, innovation, ecosystems, student mobility, and cultural exchanges. Prime Minister of Malaysia, Dato Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, emphasized that education must be grounded on human values, noting that the rapid pace of technological changes requires countries to adapt quickly and decisively. The theme of the forum is intensifying internationalization in the context of Global South.
Indeed, we are looking forward to conducting and concluding a memorandum of understanding in higher education and TVET between our two nations. This memorandum of understanding will form a solid framework to guide our partnership in areas such as academic mobility, joint research, scholarships, and capacity building. This forum also speaks to our collective ambition to strengthen South-to-South cooperation in education and research, leveraging on comparative strength of our nations to address shared challenges such as climate change, digital transformation, and youth employability.
But it's important because whilst we're craving, in Malaysia, for example, both we have Ministry of Education and Higher Education, I emphasize this point. The love of scholarship, yes. New technology, we cannot lose out. We have to get our students to master artificial intelligence and digital transformation and this new energy transition, because that would, there are fundamentals in terms of economic development and progress. But we cannot lose sight of human dignity, values and ethics.
The hardships, it is good that we could deal with the hardship. It's a new partnership. Remember, the reason why we're here is to make sure that we change the narrative of the Malaysia-Africa higher education language. Another round of applause for everybody as a genius. Thank you.
President William Ruto is traveling to Luanda, Angola, to attend the 7th African Union-European Union Summit and the second session of the Ad Hoc Oversight Committee on African Union Institutional Reform. The President will chair the reform session in his role as the AU champion for reforms. The AU-EU Summit will allow leaders to review 2 decades of Africa-Europe cooperation and respond to new pressures linked to shifting geopolitical priorities, funding gaps and rising security threats. It is John Mbadi has called on the Orange Democratic Movement supporters to back the broad-based government. Speaking in Uriri, Migori County, Mbadi said the current arrangement is the best way for the country, urging Kenyans to shun divisive politics. For ODM supporters, Mbadi said remaining in government is the best way to honor Raila Odinga's legacy.
This country needs peace. This country needs progress, and it needs development. We must talk to our people and tell them that the government of today has remembered all corners of the country. The government of today is not a government of only one section of this country. We are developing the country uniformly. That is why today I'm here and I'm discussing development with the people of Uriri. This country is for all of us. This country needs peace. This country needs progress, and it needs development. We must talk to our people and tell them that the government of today has remembered all corners of the country. The government of today is not a government of only one section of this country. We are developing the country uniformly. That is why today I'm here and I'm discussing development with the people of Uriri.
The leader of the Democracy for Citizens Party, Rigathi Gachagua, has condemned the alleged acts of police brutality and violence that occurred during his visit to Narok Town on Monday to campaign for the DCP candidate for Narok Town, that is Douglas Masikonde. Gachagua claims that hundreds of police officers mounted roadblocks on the Narok-Bomet Road at deliberately obstructing the former deputy president's movement and preventing him from accessing Narok town via the route.
Speaking on Monday while leading campaigns for UDA's candidate Leonard Wamuthende, Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki said security agencies are on high alert to prevent any attempts to disrupt the polls.
Baada ya Thursday, tutabaki tukiwa jamii moja, tutabaki tukiwa ndugu na dada. Wewe mtu ya mitego, wewe mtu ya kisirani, wacha kuleta mambo ya kuchafua wananchi hapa na kupiganisha wananchi.
In a dramatic twist, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi was back on the campaign trail as Malava's DNA's candidate dropped his bid to support UDA's David Ndakwa. Elsewhere, Rigathi Gachagua claims that his journey to Narok was marred by tear gas and stone-throwing goons, accusing the police and his political nemesis of creating a tense and hostile political environment.
Sisi tutauziwa wanga kweli. Hata mkitupa mawe. Kura ya watu ya Narok mtafanyia nini? Si kura muko naye? Si mtapigia maskonde?
Meanwhile, the government has issued a stern warning to chiefs and their assistants against engaging in political activities.
As we all understand, the government is committed to excellent, not only services, but excellent services to her people. And every government will always take pride when the people are served the best way possible. And we can only serve well if we come together as one whole in formidable team.
The caution came even as the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission called for strict adherence to electoral laws.
Kindly, the few remaining days, tafadhalini, let us have a peaceful campaign because we still need Malava come 27th of November.
IEBC began ferrying electoral materials to regions expected to conduct mini polls on Thursday.
Sisi kama security agencies tuliweza kuelezea hawa expectation yetu. Na lengo letu sisi wote kwa jumla ni a peaceful by-election ya Magharibi.
Meanwhile, as campaigns reach the home stretch, claims have emerged of attempts to compromise the conduct of the mini poll in Magarini.
Taarifa ambayo nimeona kutoka kwa kiongozi wa DCP leo asubuhi ikizunguka katika mitandao akisema kwamba ati mimi kama gavana wa Kilifi nina njama na watu wa ABC. Nataka nimwambie kwamba mimi nimefanya campaign kwa hii Magarini kwa muda sasa toka itangazwe hii by election, na muda huu wote watu wa Magarini wameweka amani, wamekuwa na heshima kwa viongozi wote wanaopigania.
The political context has somewhat mellowed in Baringo County following the withdrawal of Gideon Moi from the senatorial race.
Bado naomba tarehe 27 mwezi huu ambaye ni next week on Thursday tunaenda kufanya ile final by election, kura ya mwisho, ili niweze nipate nafasi niende kule Nairobi ndio wahudumie kama senator wa Baringo.
However, in regions such as Malava constituencies and Kariobangi North Ward, those seeking to plunder the establishment have warned that Thursday's mini poll is a mere dress rehearsal.
Mahali tunaelekea katika mapambano na tutapambana.
We do apologize for that technical hitch that Let me take that story again, where the 3-day public participation exercise on the draft Private Security Regulations 2025 has come to an end, with a section of stakeholders emphasizing on the need to pay more attention to social welfare of the private security guards. The Private Security Regulatory Authority Chief Executive Officer, that is Philip Okello, said the views will be compiled and submitted to the Ministry of Interior for the next course of action.
Holders in the private security sector convened at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi on Monday for the final round of the 3 days public participation exercise on draft Private Security Regulations 2025. The participants took issue with some of the regulations, which they term as unmanageable and unnecessary, including one requiring 3 years of audited accounts for those intending to start security firms. Also provided for in the draft regulations is the inclusion of stewards, famously known as bouncers, in the private security sector.
Stewards are these people we call bouncers. These are people that I think in the system that we have left them to regulate themselves. And so we are happy that the DG has given us an opportunity to come here so that we can also be heard.
A section of private security firms submitted their memoranda.
Our work ends today and into the near future, such that we take them to the CS, who will forward transmission to the Bunge. And ours has been successful, as that now we've covered the entire country, as exposed in the 2010 Constitution, and that's what I think we needed to do.
The public participation exercise involves scrutiny of 4 regulations, namely Private Security General Regulations 2024, use of animals in private security services, appointment of board members, and Private Security Fidelity Fund Operations Regulations 2024.
Well, and that story by Tilio Marco brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you as always for your time and your company. Remember, my colleagues will be all over the country in areas where the by-elections will be taking place, just to bring you up to speed with what will be happening there. But all in all is to keep peace, even as voters choose their leaders. My name is Maria Mbo. Good Morning Kenya continues.
Auntie, please nifungulie gate niende.
Nani amekuchokoza nindi ni deal na yeye sahi?
Heri wazazi wangu wangekuwa walevi na wanipenda.
Nani sasa? Failures. Mtapata shida hapa mpaka mtamani kifo. Nisho mushukulu wenyu Andrea shigwa ya university shiru shikadusha mno. Haiduwe.
Are you a talented artist, or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream, all for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Unaijua sauti ya iman ambayo ilisimama thabiti ingawa ilipata shida.
Miaka ilivyopita, Uislamu uliposimama imara, Mtume Muhammad aliamua kumchagua Bilal kuwa muadhini wa kwanza katika Uislamu.
Tumeona watu wakikata tamaa na wengine ambao hawana imani
wakaamua wengine mpaka kujitia kitanzi. Kwa wengine mmefanya makosa ambayo umeona yametutoa katika Uislamu. Usikate tamaa na rahma ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Ya Nabi salam alayka, ya Rasul salam alayka.
Welcome back. It's now time for us to get into people and politics, and it's a few minutes to 7 a.m. Let's just go through the papers and take you through what is happening here. And yes, let me start with the front page of the Standard newspaper. The Standard newspaper says that bipartisan IEBC, that's what I have here, bipartisan IEBC. And the gentleman here is the chair, Ethicon, who is the chair of the IEBC. The Standard says that the reconstitution of the IEBC was meant to redeem an electoral agency long tainted by state interference and timid leadership. But days before by-elections seen as a dress rehearsal for the 2027 general election, the Commission is already struggling to shake off doubts that dogged its formation. It cleared a UDA candidate despite EACC advice. Some officials have been accused of bias, and the opposition is warning of state-sponsored violence and poll manipulation. Can Chairman Ethicon calm the swirling storm? That's the question here. Can Chairman Ethicon calm the swirling storm? That is the front page of the Standard newspaper. And now, actually, it's just 48 hours to the polls. And now we are waiting to see how IEBC is going to handle that. Very fast, on the inner pages, Ruto's 5 trillion infrastructure projects raise questions over transparency. On the inner pages, the president's plans come after the Adani JKA deal hit whirlwinds over its opacity. Concerns now emerge over opaque procurement process that skipped public tendering and competitive bidding. That is what is here. Very quickly, Kenya pays heavy price for Putin decree to recruit foreign fighters. All right. There was something that happened in the city. Makongeni residents fight back against abrupt and violent evictions. And now the big cue here today is IBC's Ethicon under fire as poll tension escalates before by-elections. And IBC on the spot for clearing UDA candidate despite corruption probe. All right, so let me introduce my guest, starting with the immediate left, Daniel Jumomondi, who is the Africa regional representative of the Global Peace Foundation. He is already in studio. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Yeah, thank you.
Next to him is Gilbert Awino, who is a strategic communications expert. He's also a lawyer in the country. Good morning, Gilbert.
Good morning, Victor.
And next to him is Honorable Francis Mwangangi, the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. Mheshimiwa, karibu sana to the show.
Asante, and thank you for the invite.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
And very shortly, Wairimu Gatache, who is an advocate of the High Court, will be joining us shortly. But let me start with you, Daniel, starting on the front page of the Standard. But before we do that, Gilbert, what do you have on the front page of the Star?
The Star has the new IBC battles. There is an attempt by Okiya Omtata to abolish the National Tallying Center. It seeks to, the petition by Omtata seeks to do away the National Tallying Center, meaning that the election results as declared in the constituencies should be final.
Yes.
This issue of the chairman verifying results, locking himself into a room, claiming that some numbers have not come, or waiting for Tarakaniti will be normal if the unconstitutionalism that Omtata says is in the Elections Act Section 39, in accordance with what the Constitution says is declared unconstitutional, then there will not be IEBC chair declaring results at Bomas, but at the constituency levels, and that would be the final, which I think is a good thing, because it is at the National Tallying Center that we have seen mischief. All the other elections go well, but when it gets to the presidential, I mean, Kenya, we have about 14 million people voting on, sometimes it's 13, but it takes you 3-4 days, and yet in many other constituencies, people know the results by close of business. So I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go to the front page of the Daily Nation. Mheshimiwa, what do you have on the front page of the Daily Nation?
The poison in our food.
What does it say?
This is what basically it means is there are burnt pesticides which cannot be used within the European Union, but they are exported to Africa. Other than the health aspect, it has also an economic aspect.
Yes.
Because, Victor, one time when I served as a member of parliament representing one of the constituencies in this country, I came across a number of products that could not be exported to European Union. The reason was some of the pesticides we use in the process of producing. When it comes to crop production and horticulture, still it was the same thing. Yet they are the owners of the the manufacturers, the processors, and exporters of the same. So I think this story tells us there are some of the poisonous pesticides that cause cancer, which are exported to across African continent, Kenya included.
Okay.
And I think it is, I comment this headline because it is going to awake African continent through African Union, so that collectively they can now engage European Union as an entity, so that some of these things are not exported to African continent.
Thank you. Let me come back to Daniel. Daniel, we have got 181 candidates facing off nationally in the next 48 hours, 24 electoral areas and 7 constituencies to be precise. I'll take you through the breakdown very shortly. But let me ask you, what do you make of what you've seen the last 2 months when it's come to election? This perhaps is a rehearsal of what you should expect in 2027. Daniel.
Yeah, so let me say, I think it's a rehearsal. It's a preview or a prelude to what we will be seeing in 2027.
Yes.
And it's also a test for the new IEBC commissioners. This mini election has given them an opportunity to showcase their capabilities in terms of how impartial or how credible they are able to manage the elections. So I think I would not rush, just like the Standard has alluded, I would not rush to crucify IEBC even before the elections are done, because the moment you do that, then you put the cart in front of the horse. So I think we need to give the Ethicon Commission a benefit of doubt. And just as you know, elections basically is about the will of the people.
Yes.
And the commissioner's role is very limited to just kind of delivering the baby. But the people who will decide the elections will be the people. The people of Kasipo, the people of Mbereno, the people of Gunja, they have the responsibility to be able to decide who they want to represent them. So IBC's role is very limited. And also I see Senator Okia with coming up with this petition purportedly to remove the tallying center. But personally, I think that is another waste of time. A waste of time for the court, because I do not see what is wrong with the tallying center, because the tallying center is just a place where the results that have been declared are being collated and announced. Because if you don't have a place where these results are being collated and announced to the public, then it means you're going to have various people tallying their own results from different places. So I think Okia should have better things to do with this time, because then I don't see how this changes the result of the upcoming elections. What we need to do is to ensure that we have an informed citizenry. IBC needs to be able to conduct civic education so that we have an informed citizenry. We have a problem in these elections and previous elections. And I've taken, when I ran for Member of Parliament of Uganda in 2019 by election, the case of voter bribery, even though the electoral laws are very clear about voter bribery, but it was happening. It was happening. When we stop campaigning in the evening, people are not supposed to stop, but from 8 p.m. the politicians who, with impunity, they start campaigning with sacks of money, distributing money. So it's a case, and I think IBC needs to demonstrate that they can actually clamp down on violence during elections. They can clamp down on voter bribery. They need to ensure that everyone, without exception, obeys the electoral rules, so that we don't have a situation, cases of impunity, cases of politicians, campaigning with machetes on their boots and giving young people, weed to go make noise, and this is the problem of our election, and it needs to stop. And I'm hoping the committee can be able to do that, the commission.
Let's welcome Werimu Gatache. Werimu, good morning.
Good morning.
She's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
We've just left the train station. I hope you'll catch up with us.
I will. I definitely will.
Karibu.
Good thing I have the benefit of having been in the same panel with Mr. Daniel here and the DG here. It's only Wakili that I've not met before.
Yes.
But thank you for having me.
Karibu. Now that your mic is on, let me ask you, we've seen a lot of high-octane campaigns the last 2 months, but in the last 1 week or so, we've seen a lot of drama and theater. I think everybody just drew the daggers from where it was kept, and we've seen a lot of tension and heat ahead of Thursday's by-election. Your take on that?
In regards to especially the conduct of the political elite class, in terms of how the campaign has been carried out, the most important thing is to make sure that you quiet the tension, because you don't want the tensions and the political temperatures to rise ahead of such a contested by-election. We have to admit that the by-election has come at a time when politically the country is in a charged state, and it's important now, like for these by-elections, I think, unlike the others that have been held before, there is probably more popularity and more attention that is drawn, especially to some areas where maybe there are hotspots, and maybe where the new formed alliances are actually out here trying to show us what they have, how they want to try and create their roadmap to 2027. At the end of the day, we just need to have peaceful campaigns, peaceful elections. I am a huge proponent of democracy, and democracy is not only spoken, but also in your conduct. It's in how you carry out your campaigns. It's in how the police are going to handle this kind of period. It's in how the political class are going to handle it. It's in how the media will also play its role, the voters come out, and also how the IEBC, which now is on a lens as to how they are going to rebuild trust given the past electoral disputes, how they are going to rebuild trust and create that credibility to the public.
Let's come back to DG. DG, it's been so hotly contested, and we've seen, for example, the Deputy President camping in Mbeere North for close to 1 week non-stop. And when you go to Malava, we have got different supporters of the UDA candidate. One of them is Farouk Kibet. We've seen Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi there camping several times. But we've seen a lot of political crossing over. You see Senator Boni Khalwale, who is the whip in the Senate, supporting a different candidate who does not belong to the government. We've seen a lot of movements in the political circle. This is somewhat confusing.
It's not. It shows the unpopularity of this administration. Period.
But you have to fight for you.
No. If you are you see,
you have to stay where you belong until the end of your tenure.
Let me give an example. We have a by-election in Machakos County.
Right.
Momboni North, right at the center of the town, where we can say it is a cosmopolitan area.
Yes.
Where all the communities of this country, you can find them. I've never seen Kalonzo there or any of these principals there. We are handling the matter at the very lower level. Whether it defaults to UDA or not, it is not even our threat, because we know we are with the people. So when you see, ideally, an appointed deputy president, as opposed to the one we elected as Kenyans, camping somewhere, it shows there's a problem. Why are they feeling the heat? Why are they... that is a very minor thing at the very lower level. That should be allowed. Farouk has camped in Malaba for the longest. In fact, he was not even close to the late MP. But he has camped there. What does that one tell you?
They need votes.
For what? And they are popular. They are doing, they are executing mandate given to them by Kenyans. It shows unpopularity and the lack of institutionalism in this government. Period. If today you are ruling and you are with the people, definitely people will go with you. You will go with your people. Okay. Camping there, it has...
Can I come back to you shortly? I'll fix your mic.
Mic?
Yes, somebody's going to handle it kindly.
Okay.
Apologies for that. Gilbert,
yes.
Perhaps you can just pick you from where he's left.
Yeah, but before you go to where he's left, I would like, give me a right of reply to what Mheshimiwa has said here. If you have been in this country from 2007, when Kivitu said he did not know who won, and he was waiting for Tharaka Nithi votes, it is only after devolution that we realized that Tharaka Nithi is actually a very less populated area.
Yes.
We imagine that it's such a densely populated area that could tilt the presidential results. In 2017, the Supreme Court declared the elections that had been held as not having been done in compliance with the Constitution. And the state usually likes comfort, likes people who do not make it uncomfortable. It is through sweat, as Winnie had said, that we move to the next level. I think to refer to Omtata as, you know, an attempt in futility, what he's doing, I think is be unfair to the legislator. I think the National Tallying Center, in my view, has been where mischief is cooked, particularly for the presidential results. Kenya has all the other electoral levels going very well, but when it comes to presidential, so unless perhaps we are comfortable with the dishonesty that has been alleged to happen at the National Tallying Center, I think we need to give this a chance, because what has happened before has not worked in the interest of greater majority. But back to Malava and Mbeere North and the many places, including Kasipul, I think this is a test to the three gentlemen in this republic, four actually. For Mbeere...
Which gentleman?
For Mbeere, it is Wamunyoro man competing with the man he derogatorily referred to as Soprano, Mr. Soprano. This is the deputy president. It is a competition between him and the deputy president, who is the supreme leader. Of course, you know that that is area that is, I mean, it is Kindiki's area.
Yes.
But the greater Mount Kenya region, Wamunyoro feels that he is the man who reigns supreme. In Malava, it is a test between the president himself, who has an interest in inheriting the entire Western Kenya, Mudavadi, who also happens to be from that area, this is a test to him to prove whether he's of value to the president. Again, if you look at the ODM fraternity in this particular area, ordinarily they would have fielded a candidate, because Malava has never been there all along. Even when ODM was at its best, they never get Malava. It would have been an opportunity for ODM to at least test grounds on to what extent.
As at yesterday, they threw their weight behind Seth Panyako.
Yes, as at
yesterday, yes.
Well, that has not been confirmed whether really truly they threw their efforts behind Seth or with Ndakwa. I saw that that has not really been confirmed, but indeed it would have been a chance for ODM to build their party as opposed to handing it over to the man who truly wants to inherit Western Kenya. That is
okay. How important is this by-election to, first of all, Deputy President? Let's not even talk about any other candidate. Let's talk about the Deputy President and Rigathi Gachagua. Daniel.
It's very, very important. It's, for the Deputy President, especially because then he needs to demonstrate to His Excellency the President that he can deliver Mount Kenya, and especially the Meru part of Mount Kenya. And so that explains why he has camped there. This is an opportunity for him to show his worth. And I think it's going to be a very, very tough, but it was a very, very tough battle. Yeah. And if you ask me, it's the race is between the Deputy President's candidate and the Wamunyoro candidate. And so I think it's the people who will decide. But if you ask me, I think it's a very close race. It's going to be a very, very close race. It's going to be won, with a very, very small margin, if you ask me. And also, if you look at other areas, for example, Kasipul, Kabondo, you have seen, of course, it's an ODM zone, but we have seen Philip Aroko, who is an independent candidate, also coming up. So basically, the race is a two-horse race between those two. And I think it's also an opportunity, it's a testing ground, to see the consequence of the demise of the former Prime Minister, because this election is being done after the former Prime Minister has gone. And so, people are going to see how effective is Gladys Wanga, because she's the one leading that campaign, and how effective are the other, and also basically UDA and everyone will be seeing, can ODM, after Raila, post-Raila, is ODM strong enough to whip the Luo Nyanza votes, to support the president in the upcoming election? So it's a chance for them to see whether ODM as a party has the muscle to be able to whip the people, especially after Raila has gone, to be able to support the president. And that's why you see there's a big discussion regarding the broad-based government. You have just seen Badi, strongly, passionately, rooting for the support for the broad-based government. And it's understandable because, of course, he is one of the beneficiaries of the broad-based government. So right now, there's a scramble. It's a scramble for especially for Luo Nyanza. We have the opposition, of course, led by, Kalonzo Musyoka. Kalonzo Musyoka and William Ruto are the two protagonists for the Luo Nyanza votes. Kalonzo Musyoka, rightfully so, because Kalonzo Musyoka has stood with Raila Odinga in several elections, and he has proven to the Luo people that he is a darling of the Luo people, because he has, even last year when he was not given the opportunity to be a running mate, and Martha Karua was given the opportunity, Martha Karua did not even deliver her polling station, but Kalonzo Musyoka was able to deliver Kamba votes to support Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga would not have been formidable in his campaigns without the support of Kalonzo Musyoka. But of course, historically, we have also seen the disagreements where Kalonzo Musyoka has been blamed, especially 207, for allegedly causing the loss of Raila because he decided to run on his own. If he had run with Raila, then the margin between Raila and Kibaki would have been large. So I think in Luo Nyanza, that is the main thing that we're seeing. So people are going to see, the result will show if Philip Aroko wins, and Philip Aroko is actually very formidable. Very formidable. And if he wins, then it will upset the whole, people will have to go back to the drawing board.
Interesting.
And there's going to be some realignment.
Gilbert is smiling by your side there.
Yeah.
Why are you smiling, Gilbert? Before I come to you, DG.
I'm smiling because, yes, he's right that the only true friend of Raila politically has been Kalonzo Musyoka. The rest are people who have been trying to ride on the goodwill and the magnanimity of Raila Odinga. I was smiling because I was thinking of Mbere North and the interesting scenario that has unfolded. The DP candidate who has been embraced by the Wamunyoro team, Mr. Ken, is called Ken Maria, the popular musician, the one who has done the Mudhoni Kifagio. That song I have really liked. I didn't know it was done by him. That is the equivalent of Merimela, if you ever had Merimela, or the Swahili one called Hauvumi Lakini Umo. There is a song like that. And if you reach people, this candidate has been an MCA, a councillor for a while, and this time he's attempting to escalate his profile to the MP position. And if musicians traditionally in central Kenya have a special appeal to people, because, you know, music appeals to part of your brain called amygdala. That is
it's called what?
Amygdala. That is the basic, it is the part of your brain that basically makes you be extremely emotional. You don't think logically. So if you just think of that particular music that you really like, that makes you get off your feet, you really don't think about who is watching. Now, there is something in a name. Even though it has been alleged that the Wamuthende man, Mr. Leo, changed his name to run away from the allegations of corruption and the report by EACC, I'm thinking they thought, now that we have a guy of Mudhoni Kifagio, Ken Maria, someone who really appeals to the emotional part of human beings, what is the equivalent? So, because it's a do or die for Kindiki, to prove that Mr. Ruto was not right to leave him instead of Wamunyoro. So they approached this gentleman, in my view, and asked him, what name do you think can match your formidable competitor? Let's give you Wamuthende. And I hear, I'm not from there, but Wamuthende has everything to do with your something bottom up, you know, something the lower part of, you know, something that really, such things identify with human beings. So I thought that these people would want to get a match for the emotional part of human beings. At this point, even though President Ruto is interested in the winning of the guy from his side, the person who must prove his worth is DP Kindiki, because 2027 is coming. The president has a choice to make him a running mate of value, or continue saying, I left you all along because I know you're good, but politically you might not bring any value. Yes, that's why I was smiling.
Great insight there. Your mic had a problem, but I'll come back. Let me just come back to you now. You submit, make your submission, but also, how important is it? Because he's also spoken about, just talking about the deputy president and the former, that is Rigathi Gachagua. How important this by-election is going to be? Next 48 hours is going to be a testing ground for almost everyone, especially the two.
First, allow me to say something on the Omtata's petition. I think there was a court in this country that ruled the final of the announcement from the polling station. I think we should uphold that, and I'm a firm believer that we should start voting at the right time at 6, and by the time we get 5, every Kenyan, everybody, anywhere in the world knows who is your leader, whether an MCA, whether president, whether governor, whether senator. That is possible. These stories of so many things transporting votes from polling station to constituency, from constituency to county, from county to I don't know where, then tallying center is of no help to anybody. Let's embrace technology so that once Kenyans start voting,
yes,
within the stipulated time, we are able to know who our leaders are, and that is done, whichever level of leadership. We all know what happened at the National Tallying Center in just the last general election in this country. People trying to overturn people's will. I strongly support this Omtata's petition because it is going to heal a lot of things. Coming to your question on the stakes in this election, I think, Victor, stakes are high. There is the direction, the road map to the 2027 general election starts soon after this week's elections on Thursday. If government loses and there are surrogates, then it confirms what Jay-Z did in Parliament. It will confirm they were right. If the government wins, we on the other side, we have our job to do. So it's very important. On the other hand, there has been a talk that there's this, the deputy president and his position and the future elections. He has to prove himself. Actually, it is him to prove himself and the worthiness of the position he holds. So, but what I don't agree is this consistency.
Yeah.
If he is that popular, if he is a national leader truly, he needs to send greetings to the people, just greetings, and say, there is a Wamodende there. When you see him, just greet him. And that is done. He will be listened to. But when you see him moving from village, from homestead to another homestead, from village to village, dishing out monies, trying to portray who he is not, now that belittles him. And I can tell you, in Africa, there is this I think it was Ole Soyinka.
Yes.
Who said, not Ole Soyinka actually, it is Thomas Jefferson, one of the America's founding fathers and the president, who said the best, the well-informed citizenry is best defense against tyranny. This government is known to be hard when it comes to Kenyans.
Yeah.
The government is known to push some unpopular policies to Kenyans, irrespective of the feeling of the same citizens. I think that will be tested in these coming elections.
Okay. Wairimu, when you listen, we are not seeing female candidates, not so much, out of this by-election. Why? I don't know. It's just a general question.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering why we are not seeing strong female candidates coming out and their names being called, that somebody so-and-so, Gatasha is giving Victor a run for his... I'm not seeing that.
Yes. It's also something that we have all noted. It speaks to, for instance, because they are female candidates, I have maybe taken some interest to know other candidates other than those that are in the full glare of the camera.
Yes.
They're there, but for a reason or another, they've not been embraced by the quote-unquote two sides of the campaigns. There are many reasons why that could be. Maybe they do not seem to align with the policies of the two groups.
Yeah.
But it's a good observation, and I think we would encourage more women, more youthful
I don't know
people.
what you think about the deputy president's camping in Mbeere North? Because look at it this way. The seat fell vacant, and the candidate, that seat was met, actually it was under DP. Who is the party leader of DP? Former Attorney General?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, the DP is also camping there. Could it be a setup on behalf of, on the side of Rigathi Gachagua? Was it a setup to declare that seat vacant to test waters from a distance?
Could be. It could be. However, I think that we understand that we also have a competition for kingmanship within the Mount Kenya region. And there are feuds between people that maybe those that have self-imposed themselves as the kingpins, those that give directions from the sidelines. I was just looking at the Daily Nation, page 8 of the Daily Nation, where they say there is no end in sight to the Uhuru-Gachagua political feud. Of course, when you look at there is the ex-DP, there is the former president, and now there is the deputy president, who all want to appear to control this vote-rich region, the Mount Kenya. So it's going to be an interesting by-election. It's obviously going to be an interesting road to 2027 as we see who will be able to take up the control of that region. Yeah. Because there are those that have come out and they are wary of some people that have imposed themselves as the kingpin. So we will wait to see what exactly, how it plays out. But ideally, I think as we move forward, it's about time we moved away from ethnic patronage, away from the party politics, and we look at what these people that are running, these candidates, what they actually offer. Because at the end of the day, it should not matter on book. Yeah. It should not matter who wins, whether you're from this party or the other party. It matters that we take people to parliament who are able to address the issues of the electorate. That way we'll have won as Kenyans. But if we take a popular candidate and popularize them through theatrics, and they go to parliament and they don't deliver for the Kenyans, then what the youth did by protesting against poor leadership, there will be no end to it. Because we will always see poor leadership and people that do not merit exactly to lead. Yes.
What are we likely to see after Thursday, Daniel? Politically speaking.
Yeah, politically, as I told you, as I said earlier on, this is a test, actually, also for the president. He's going to use these elections to gauge, how he's going to be managing his two-term campaign moving forward. For example, if you go to Luo Nyanza, for example, Luo Nyanza, one of the voices from that side has been that if the president wants the Luo votes in total, then he needs to appoint a running mate from Luo Nyanza so that all the Luos can actually vote for the president. So that has been that is the feeling on the ground. Otherwise, if he doesn't do that, then there's a chance that some voters will go with Kalonzo, and also he's going to get some voters. So it will divide the Luo Nyanza into two. But if he is able to get a running mate from Luo Nyanza, then he has a chance of getting more votes, from Luo Nyanza. So this is an opportunity for him, to see, for example, because even before Raila passed on, there were rumors that Gladys Wanga, you remember the president had said that the next election he needs a woman running mate. He said that when Gachagua was still in the DP. So, and there had been some rumors that maybe Gladys Wanga would be one of the people. So for Gladys Wanga, that's why she is desperately trying to win these, to make sure that ODM wins the Kasipul, Kabondo, because then she demonstrates that she has the ability to actually get some votes for the president in that region. So I think going forward, it will just be an opportunity for an alignment. But there's going to be nothing really big. There'll be nothing big. Life will go on, and
life will go on. But politically speaking, many people are going to be. It's not going to be easy for so many people.
I know it's not going to be easy, but then it's a chance. It's a chance for both sides to actually test themselves. For Wamunyoro, it is an opportunity for him to demonstrate that he is a force to reckon with in central Kenya, but also for the president. This is one thing that it's going to be a lesson for him, because for me, I don't see the need for choosing a cabinet. The constitution basically said that the cabinet initially, the cabinet secretaries were not supposed to be politicians.
Yes.
So I do not see the need for the president to poach politicians, especially those who have been elected. For Ugunja, why take Wandai and is busy serving the people of Ugunja and bring him to cabinet? Well, there are so many Kenyans, even from Luo area, that could have been given that position. The same with Rukus. Ruku was an ardent supporter of the president. So why remove him? And why would he have? Because then if he loses Mbere, then it's going to be a lesson for him that it is not safe. It's not a good bet, to remove those who have been elected just for them to be appointed. Because there's so many Kenyans who can serve in the cabinet.
That's a very good observation. Gilbert?
For Kasipul, Kabondo, it's really going to matter after the elections are held there. Why? Because we have seen Aroko being helped to campaign by former Nairobi Governor Kidero. Those were the original Ruto supporters from Nyanza. We have seen Obado standing on top of tables there, campaigning vigorously for Aroko. And we have also seen the original Ruto supporters who were anti-Raila before Raila came in have identified with Aroko. On the other hand, the latest exuberance, the Wangas and the rest, are campaigning so viciously for Boyd, not so much for Boyd himself, but to continue asserting to the president that if you have us, you're okay, you don't need these people. And these people are saying, these people are cheating you all along. They have not made their house in order. We can, if Aroko wins, you will see the Obados and the Kideros actually sticking their heads much higher and saying, we are the people who are reigning supreme in the, particularly the Nyanza, South Nyanza region, where Raila has been getting near 99% support compared to Central Nyanza, where he comes from. So it really means something for both Gladys Wanga and the Aroko team. On the question of having a woman and perhaps as the deputy, I think the president at this point, he's a guy on a seduction mission. So he'll tell everybody everything. I'm sure there are so many politicians harboring the desire to be his running mate, including Kindiki himself and many others. But at this point, everyone he speaks to, he will say, we can't give it to you, we can't give it to you.
We've not seen Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka campaigning so much, even in Machakos. And you're so proud of that. Saying very well that he's...
No, he just sent greetings. But he has been to Magarini. He has been to western part of the country, particularly in where the president's aide has camped, Malaba. He was there the other day, and now he is back at Magarini. So in the case of Machakos, I think his word is law. Yes. Once he says this is the direction, that is okay for majority of the people around there. Secondly, allow me to comment on something that he said. Truly, when it comes to the Luo Fort, and before I go there, the election in Luo land and that of Bere, it will drastically change a lot of things when it comes to the focus to 2027.
Okay.
This focus will be, we have an ODM candidate in Kabondo.
Actually, it's Kasipul.
Kasipul, yes. I will tell you this. If ODM loses, that is like a vote of no confidence to Gladys Wanga and the new leadership of ODM. I can tell you for free. Number two, if they lose, it will also mean where they are taking the Luo community, because those are proponents of the president. Who the other day, we know too well, was hurling a lot of not so nice words towards the late Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. I don't know Mganga, I don't know what those manner of things. So it will call for some change. Yeah. It's the same in Bere. So I think we'll be here to see how it shapes towards 2027.
Allow me to cut you short. I'm told we have got a very important program following after this. That's why we have to cut short this program this early. But I promise to call you back next week because we need to continue from where we've left. In the next 48 hours, we'll see and do a quick overview on what shall have transpired in the 24 electoral areas across the country. Wairimu Gatacha, thank you so much. He's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Next to him is Honorable Francis Mwangangi, who is the Deputy Governor of Machakos, and Gilbert Awino, strategic and communications expert, is also a lawyer, and Daniel Juma Omondi, who is Africa Regional Representative of the Global Peace Foundation. Let's take a break. Good Morning Kenya continues after this. Stay with us.
After these 2 years together, are you just going to forget about me?
Director Jiang was here 8 years ago in Sanaa. So the two of them piece it together.
Mimi ni daktari lakini daktari Kevin hapokei simu.
Kama hapatikani unaweza kufanya wewe. Twende.
Siwezi kufanya bila ruhusa ya mkuu Kevin. Hii sheria.
What? He'll die. We can't wait. Hurry up with the transfusion.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Want to enjoy free-to-air digital TV with crystal clear quality? Here's how to get started with Signet. Step 1. If you have a smart TV, you're good to go. Next, connect the aerial to your TV. Now, do an auto search on your TV. Just follow the prompts on the screen. And that's it. You're now tuned in to Signet. Sit back and enjoy a wide range of free-to-air digital channels. For technical inquiries, call the Signet hotline on 0770 572 656.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima
tunaangazia kilimo cha asili
na kisha faida zinazotokana na kilimo mjini.
Ukiangalia kama hii karatasi yangu nimeokota. Kwa hivyo nimefanya recycling. Kwa hivyo pale tu ni mchanga utatafuta. Borea sisi ndio tunajitengenezea si wenyewe.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi hii saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1.
Kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
My other talent is dancing, modeling. I also play ice hockey and roller hockey, and I also play golf and tennis. My future plan is to be a doctor and a Miss Universe, and in skating I would like to be a coach and train those kids who want to skate.
Mama's porridge is sweet. Today I'm going to show you how to make a grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup.
Today I'm going to teach you how to make a toilet roll sheep.
Mama's porridge is sweet.
Tia found out about everything that happened with Nora.
What did he say? He wants to get a divorce.
You also got their sister pregnant! You good for nothing! Take it easy, Amador!
I no longer have the energy to show anything to anybody.
I need Nora and you to get out of here.
Did you hate me that much? Is it because you thought I stole our father's affection? Is that why? No. Dad? What's happening, Dad? 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 Dad?
You're still watching Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Miguel. Let's talk about something else away from politics. And this is about truth, trust, technology, and the whole role of journalism in the digital age. This is the theme of the upcoming Editors Guild annual convention that will be happening from the 26th of this month. And for this conversation in studio, I'm joined by Linda Birch, who is the CEO of Kenya Editors Guild. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you.
And also Zubeida Kananu, who is the president of Kenya Editors Guild. Karibu sana.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning to you.
And good morning, Kenya. Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for hosting us today.
Karibu sana, karibu sana.
Yes.
The upcoming Editors Guild convention, the theme is truth, trust, and technology, and the role of journalism within this digital age. Let me start with you, CEO. What do you think is the nexus between the three aspects now that we are living in a very fast-paced digital era?
I would say they're interlinked in terms of if you have to tell your story in a manner that the public will believe you.
Yes.
And you want to use the current digital tools like AI, fact-checking tools, you have to do it in the current latest trends, such that you eliminate misinformation, which has become a very big threat in the current journalism space, and you have to embrace modern storytelling techniques. We are running away from the usual who, what, where, when.
Yes.
You're embracing digital multiplicity. We are going into a phase whereby, you know, you're adopting audio, you're adopting text, and also adopting video. So combining all that to tell your story in a most balanced way. Yeah, that's how I would say the three connect: the truth, trust, and technology. Yes.
Zubeida, how do you think this era has transformed the way news is consumed, and by extension, the trust that is bestowed on it?
First of all, before responding to your question, allow me to take a minute to say a big thank you to you, Mike.
Karibu sana.
Good morning, Kenya team, the leadership of KBC, Madam Kaleche, Mr. Maina, Millicent. Thank you so much for all the support that we get at the Guild from KBC. KBC has the highest number of editors at Kenya Editors Guild. Yes. You have more than, I think all your editors are in KEG, more than 45 editors from
KBC. You cover our events. You're always there for us. So this is something that we don't take for granted, because this is how we keep expanding, upscaling, and learning as editors, you know. Maybe to give a brief background of what KEG is about, even as I get into your question. This is a body that brings together editors from Kenya, both from local and international media. So we converge to discuss ideas, to look at the challenges and opportunities in our industry. So we have editors from newsrooms in Kenya. We have those from academia and those that have exited the newsrooms. So we made annually, yes, we have different programs throughout the year, but every year, at the end of the year, we meet during our annual convention to discuss the year that was, some of the challenges that we experienced, some of the opportunities that we experienced. And through our partners, we discuss how to move forward based on what we've experienced throughout the year. And the last couple of years, our conversation has been around technology. Because, as you know, since COVID, there have been digital disruptions that have affected how we produce and curate our content for our audiences. Initially, it was just TV, radio, and print. But right now, we've learned that people are consuming news on the go. Because when you look at the latest statistics, we have more than 27 million Kenyans online. And we ask ourselves, why are they online? They're looking for content. And how do we ensure that we are not limiting ourselves to the content that we produce in our newsroom? How do we ensure that we are producing and curating content that serves that new audience that we didn't have 10 years ago? So that's why we meet. The last 3 conventions have focused solely on digital, you know, because we have to embrace technology as newsrooms for us to remain relevant. So, but it hasn't been easy, because investing in technology, new technology, emerging tech, AI, and so on is not cheap, it's not easy. So that's why, even during the convention, we host the government officials for us to have that conversation to see how do we ensure that newsrooms are able to afford new tech. You know, and that's why we've been appealing to the government to give us, you know, tax holiday, or, you know, just to ensure that we are able to invest in new technologies in our newsrooms. So even during the convention, we look at how many newsrooms have invested in new technologies. And if you haven't, what are the challenges, you know? And, you know, because right now, even as we serve the online audience, we true to the fact that misinformation has been the big thing. So what should we do as newsrooms to ensure that we counter misinformation? Have we invested in fact-checking desks, research desks, and so on? Because even as people go online to consume news, they still come back to us for verified information. But have we invested in it? So that's basically why we meet, to discuss these opportunities, to discuss what needs to be done. And, you know, as you rightly put it, our convention kicks off from 26th to 30th. The first day, which is tomorrow, Wednesday, we start with training. And we've partnered with different people, including Google, MCK, and other partners that will be training our journalists. That is the first assignment that we do. And then now we kick off officially from 27th up to 30th. That's now where we engage deeply on this thing we call technology. And I love the question you started with. Truth, trust, and technology. Can we do with one without the other? Can we have trust without, can we build truth without trust? Can we build trust without technology? And how are the 3 of them tied together? So that's basically what we are going to delve into during the convention.
And when you look at the decisions, editorial decision nowadays, how would you say technology has impacted them when it comes to deciding what goes on here in terms of the news that is going to be consumed by the audience?
I would say it starts with news gathering. Gone are the days when you know, it was typical that you'd all converge in the newsroom, waiting for what we call the news editor to come, and then you present the docket. Right now, it's like news is it's on the way news is developed. It's on the go. everybody, even WhatsApp is now being used as a communication channel.
Yes.
We're not waiting for the next day to sit down and then you come up with a docket, or you know, you wait to file your news over a telephone call. News is now, you know, I think it's even breaking by the second.
Yeah.
Like every other time, or if a story breaks, then you find new ways of taking it to the next level. I think at the Standard where I was for many years, there was this advice that you're telling us what has been in Tuko the whole day, what has been on Mpasho the whole day. So for your next day audience, how do you take the story forward? So I can say that technology has really revamped how we are telling our news. Also, you're not going to just insist on one means. As I said in my previous comment, that one story can be developed for radio in a different way, can be developed for TV, and can be developed for newspaper print the next day, where maybe you say the how, the why, and you are involving different teams. Instead of just having one person pursue a story, you have different teams. Maybe one aspect that has been highlighted today, the next time you give it to an investigative reporter who will employ now digital tools to find out which angle of the story did we not tell right.
So that creates versatility in
Yes.
the way the story is told.
Yes.
Looking at the digital age, Zubeida, when it comes to trust, from your perspective as a journalist, do you think perspective when it comes to trust from the public on the traditional media has waned as opposed to the new age? And if yes, what practical steps can newsroom take to ensure that this trust is rebuilt?
It's not the same, honestly. You know, I think our trust has been shaken a bit.
Yes.
It's not the way it used to be. And how we rebuild that trust is by giving accurate information, because that's what people are looking for. Because since the emergence of technology, AI, as I mentioned, there's been a lot of manipulation in the kind of content that is shared online. You know, people manipulate data, people manipulate content. Someone might even use my voice, manipulate it to, you know, spread rumors and fake news online. So what we do as newsrooms is to ensure that all the information that we share is verified, is accurate. You know, and I alluded to this earlier. People are looking for verified information. That's why at the end of the day, even as the stories break online, my sister has said that stories break every second.
Yes.
But whenever there are big stories, people still go back to legacy media for verified information. That's why we encourage our newsrooms to ensure that all the content that is shared online is verified before it goes out. That is one way of building that public trust that we lost a couple of years ago. So, and also giving our audiences positive news, you know, because a while back, people kept saying that they've stopped watching legacy media. Why? Because they feel it's so traumatizing.
Yeah.
When you go to legacy media, it's all sad news. You know, this corruption, someone has died here, and so it's not that these stories should not be told, but what else is happening in our country that is positive? You know, that's what wins back our audiences. That's what builds that relationship with our audiences, by giving them what they are looking for on social media. Because, and as Linda has said, on social media, on the digital platforms, there is variety. And that's why we have more than 27 million people online. There's variety. So how are we diversifying our content to ensure that we tap onto this gold mine that is available on social media? Are we giving them what they're looking for? Because there's a study that we did in partnership with Aga Khan University, and we released a report on how Gen Zs and millennials consume news. And most of them, and I'm sure on this table we're in that category, and most of those who are interviewed were like we are lacking what we are looking for, what we want to see on mainstream media. Most of them, especially the Gen Zs, were like, we're looking for content around the youth. We are looking for content around businesses. How do I make money? When I exit the academia, when I exit the academic institution, what do I do? How do I start building my career? How do I start building my life? And that is what influencers are doing online. They are giving them those things that they're looking for, the kind of content that they're looking for. For millennials, mostly it's about, you know, career progression. It's about businesses as well. It's about family. It's about fashion. It's about women. But are we creating that diversity in our newsrooms? So that's how we build trust. That's how we win back the people, the audience that we lost, you know, when during based on the emergence of social media. So it's all about the content, constructive journalism. That is what is going to win back our audience. Positive news, that's what they're looking for. I remember, and I've also worked at the Standard for the last 18 years, and what brought our audience glued to the screen was the investigative stories that we used to do. Everybody would stop everything they were doing to watch Jicho Pevu and the rest. Are we still doing the same? That is what will win back that audience that we've lost. And I know many newsrooms are struggling right now. We are financially strained. Yes, that's a fact. But what I would like to encourage us is to use the little resources that we have to curate content that will appeal to this audience that we've lost, and that's how we're going to win back investment, you know, win back the partners in the commercial gain that we used to get from these productions. We can't just focus on politics, honestly. Let's diversify our content. That's how we're going to make money. Let's use technology. You know, the little we can, let's invest in technology, because that's how we're able to use technology, AI, to diversify our content. Let's keep training our journalists. Have you been trained on the use of AI?
Not yet.
Yeah, let's invest in that. And that's what we do at Kenya Editors Guild. Mostly our biggest mandate is capacity building. So that's why I started by telling you, we prioritize capacity building for our journalists and editors in all the platforms that we have. You know, even during the convention, we've prioritized training. And that's why I started by saying the first training is through Google. They're coming here to train our journalists on how to verify content, how to fact check the information that you share, how to flag fake news and so on, how to use technology to curate content that can be consumed on the go. First, you know, I remember at where we used to work, the key thing was digital first. How do we ensure that we are digital first as newsrooms? How do we ensure that all our journalists are up to date on emerging tech and, you know, what the emerging trends? So that's why, and we really appreciate KBC for always prioritizing these opportunities that we offer for journalists, to journalists and editors, because we need to keep skilling ourselves. Yeah, and the more we skill ourselves, the more we curate content that is more appealing to our audience, and that's how we keep them glued to our channels.
Yes. Based on what Zubeida has said, Linda, do you think taking up themes going forward and based on the technological advancements that is ongoing, will that henceforth define the role of journalism in the coming days?
I believe so. I believe, as we've all been saying since this conversation started, is that the future is digital. Digital is technology. So unless our employers invest in that and also build the capacity of journalists, as we've been saying, yeah, we all need that so that we are not left behind. Sometime last year, we had a chance to visit China, and the trip was quite eye-opening. Where their journalists are, their media houses. There was one we went to Zhejiang International Conference Center. It's not like a fully fledged newsroom. It's a newsroom managed by, I would say, 5 people, but the kind of work they are doing is just amazing. And it's because they are investing in technology. You find a radio station that is being run by AI. We are yet to get there, I know, as a country, and even as a KBC, as Standard, as a Nation, Star, the Radio Africa Group. But that is where we are urging our country, our leaders, our government, to build the capacity of newsrooms. We should not be using yesteryear technology. We should all be striving to drive into. We used to have this, like before the 21st century hit, we were all dreaming about, or there's this vision 2030. But we always get there, and all the dreams that we had, we find that we've not realized. But I'm just urging all of us that we move with the times. Let Kenya not stay behind. Let Kenyan newsrooms and even journalists be trained to the latest capacities there. Like Kenya Editors Guild, we are all for exchange programs, like what we did with China. We can do others with other developed countries. We can also just do it locally, where we benchmark with one another. Yeah, maybe you see a rival newsroom is doing better, but don't take it like I cannot learn from my colleague. When we converge under the Kenya Editors Guild, we are all editors, we are all journalists, and we give that opportunity and a platform for editors and journalists to learn from one another. So, yeah, I support that. Technology is the way to go. It will enhance your storytelling. It will enhance how you even protect your sources. Sometimes you, as a journalist, even when you go to the field and you don't know how to cover your tracks, so later on you do a story and you're doing it as anonymous. But when the investigators go online and check your digital footprints, then they just know it's you, as much as you went under a pseudonym. So we're just encouraging responsible journalism, but move with the times. Don't stay left behind.
Indeed.
Yes.
In the interest of time, Zubeida, now that this convention is happening, in terms of content and strategic focus, how is it different from other conventions that you've had?
Oh, this will be different, because now this is where we define where we're going, how we're moving as journalists in Kenya, as far as technology, because even the entire leadership at the Ministry of ICT will be there to engage us. As I mentioned, we have partners from the digital world, big tech companies. We've worked with so many of them for so many years. We work with TikTok, we work with Facebook, we work with Google, we work with Huawei. All the big tech companies in Kenya. Safaricom has been our biggest partner for so many years. So now, as we converge in Kilifi County, we're going to discuss solutions, not focusing on the challenges. Yes, the challenges have been there. We discussed the challenges in the previous conventions, but here we are more focused on solutions. So, and we hope in the coming year, we're going to host a hackathon to, call out on different people, different investors, different partners to come on board and help us come up with AI solutions for the challenges that we are facing in the newsrooms. Be it revenue generation. How can we use emerging tech to generate revenue for our newsrooms instead of depending entirely on advertising? How can we use technology to tap into the revenue available? And also we are going to sign an MOU with EACC as well. Yes. That now will help us build capacity for journalists on investigative journalism. And one of the calls in our convention, in our speech, a call to the government is to use part of this money, that the government, the proceeds of corruption, to help journalists, to build capacity for journalists, because we are the ones who unearth this corruption, these corrupt deals, these people behind, this. So when the money comes, how do journalists benefit? So we're going to sign an MOU. We're going to launch an biotech handbook during the convention for training journalists on biotech reporting. Yes. And we're also going to, what else are we going to do?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But, yeah.
The gala
yes, we
where
have
we're
a
going to
gala
award-
dinner where we are going to award outstanding journalists and editors and so on.
All right, there's a lot to talk about on this, but we'll invite you for another session of this. I'm told we need to go to the other side of radio for a joint production of this program. That has been Zubaida Kananu, who is the president of Kenya Editors Guild, and Lida Batch, who is the CEO of Kenya Editors Guild, speaking to us about the role of journalism in the digital age. I want to hand you over to the other side of radio, where Rashid Mwamkondo is on standby to continue with the rest of this show. Rashid, if you can hear me, you can take it away.
Asante Mike, upande wa pili wa KBC Channel 1 kwa kunipa fursa ya kuweza kuendeleza upande huu. Mwenzangu Mike alikuwa anazungumzia kuhusiana na swala zima la masuala ya wanahabari, ambapo alikuwa na rais wa Editors Guild Bi Zubeda, Kananu. Kidogo tu niseme kome. Msikilizaji, mtazamaji, ni saa 2:11 saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Mahali popote ulipo, bila kupoteza nukta sekunde wala angazia swala zima la sheria, mafunzo na masuala yanayojitokeza wakati huu taifa linapoelekea kwenye uchaguzi mdogo siku ya Alhamisi, ambapo kuna chaguzi ndogo mbalimbali zitaandaliwa za maeneo bunge, vile vile pia ya useneta na mengi yale ya wadi. Kila mara taifa linapopewa nafasi ya kujipima afya ya demokrasia yake, huwa si lazima iwe kwenye uchaguzi mkuu. Wakati mwingine ni katika chaguzi ndogo ambapo udhaifu na uimara wa mfumo vinaonekana wazi kuliko ilivyo kwenye uchaguzi mkuu. Hapo ndipo, mpenzi msikilizaji, mtazamaji, kelele za kampeni, kauli za wanasiasa na matendo ya maafisa wa serikali hufichua ukweli ambao mara nyingi hufunikwa na ukubwa wa siasa za kitaifa. Vile vile pia wapo wale ambao wanasema kampeni za chaguzi ndogo zimefunikwa na kampeni za mwaka wa 2027. Lakini ukweli uko wapi, mpenzi mtazamaji? Studioni kunisaidia kuweza kulizungumzia hili, mpenzi mtazamaji, niko naye Henry Mijeleo mwana wa Indindi, ambaye ni mtaalamu wa siasa, utawala na diplomasia. Vile vile pia niko naye ndani ya studio katikati yangu hapa Balozi Esther Waringa, kiongozi wa shirika la Public Service Governance, na niko naye Bi Luciana Wambui-Thuo, ambaye ni mtaalamu wa sheria za uchaguzi na utawala. Tunachambua misingi hii, mapendekezo ya kisheria, matumizi ya rasilimali za umma, uwazi wa taratibu za uchaguzi na maadili yanayopimwa kwenye joto la kampeni. Karibu sana Indindi.
Nashukuru sana ndugu Rashid, na nafurahi kuwa kwenye idhaa tena leo pamoja na KBC Channel 1.
Karibu sana Balozi Esther.
Shukran sana ndugu Rashid, na wasikilizaji na watazamaji, tuko pamoja tuweze kuchambua mwenendo wa nchi wakati huu.
Asante. Karibu sana Bi Luciana Wambui-Thuo.
Asante sana bwana Rashid, nafurahi kuwa hapa.
Na moja kwa moja nitaanza na swala ambalo ndilo tete, swala ambalo kila mmoja analizungumzia. Nitaanza naye Mijeleo Henry mwana wa Indindi. Wengi wanasema kwamba kuna baadhi ya sheria mara kwa mara ambazo huwa zinavunjwa wakati wa kampeni na uchaguzi kwa ujumla. Lakini kwanza hebu tuangazie hili la chaguzi ndogo, ambapo kuna maafisa wa serikali wameonekana bayana wakiweza kufanya kampeni. Je, sheria inasemaje kuhusiana na maafisa wa umma ama maafisa wa serikali kutumia rasilimali za umma, kutumia muda wao kuweza kufanya kampeni?
Kwanza, sheria kuu tulionayo nchini ambayo ni katiba, tunatarajia ile sura ya 6 ambayo inazungumza kuhusu maadili, na hiyo chapter 10 pamoja na kifungu cha 75, kifungu cha 77, kifungu cha 232. Vifungu hivi vyote pamoja na 210 vinaelekeza kuhusu jinsi viongozi katika taifa, hasa wale ambao ni state officers au public officers, wanapaswa kujitokeza na jinsi ya kushughulikia masuala mbalimbali katika taifa, hasa maadili yao. Pili, kuna sheria ya uchaguzi ambayo ilikuwepo mwaka 2011 na kisha sheria ya madhambi ya kutokana na uchaguzi, Election Offences Act ya mwaka 2016. Sheria hizi zinaelekeza kabisa kuhusu jinsi viongozi wanaoshikilia ngazi mbalimbali za kitaifa wanavyopaswa kuadilika, na mojawapo ni kutohusika katika chaguzi ama kutohusika katika kampeni au kutoshiriki katika michakato ya chama cha kisiasa. Nakumbuka kesi iliyokuwepo ya Profesa Sihanya kwa mfano, alipopewa wadhifa wa kuwa katika kamati ya ODM. Ilisitishwa hiyo kwa sababu yeye ni ofisa wa serikali ambaye hakustahili kushiriki katika shughuli za chama cha kisiasa. Kwa hivyo swala la maadili lipo katika sheria, lakini sisi ni watovu wa nidhamu kwa kiwango kikubwa. Tunapuuza maadili na maelekezo ambayo tumepewa na sheria zetu na tunatekeleza mambo kinyume. Kwa mfano, mimi simtarajii waziri ambaye ni waziri wa serikali anapaswa kuwahudumia watu wote kwenda katika kampeni za kumtazamia kiongozi mmoja au kumpigia kampeni mtu fulani ambaye ni mgombea mmoja. Je, wale ambao ni wapinzani wa mgombea huyo waziri atakuwa na wahudumi ama hawahudumi? Waziri Ruku kwa mfano amekuwa mbele akichapa kampeni za kisawasawa, tunamuona akichapa kampeni za kisawasawa. Yeye ni waziri ambaye anapaswa kuwa imara kwa watu ambao ni wa upinzani na wale ambao wanaunga serikali.
Tena yeye ni waziri wa utumishi wa umma.
Tena ni waziri wa utumishi wa umma. Sasa akijitokeza yeye kuingia katika kampeni motomoto za aina hiyo, hawa viongozi wengine kama machifu, ma-DC, ma-DO wataona nani kama mfano wa kuigwa na waanze kutekeleza mambo ambayo yanaiwiana na jinsi sheria zetu zinavyotaka. Ni utovu wa nidhamu ambao kwa kweli tunapaswa kukabili katika taifa hili.
Asante sana Mijeleo Henry Mwana Indindi anasema kwamba ni utovu wa nidhamu wa kisheria ambao unastahiki kukabiliwa. Je, kauli ya Balozi Esther Waringa kuhusiana na swala hili ni ipi?
Shukran sana, na tunashukuru kwa sababu hii by elections imetupatia kama watu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya nafasi mzuri ya kuweza kujipima vile tuko tayari kuwa tunashiriki general elections ya 2027, na nikiweza kutatua hilo jambo kama mkurugenzi mkuu katika shirika la Public Service Governance, ni kusema ya kwamba tumeanguka mtihani. Manake tukiona kama deputy president anatoka kwa ofisi anaenda mashinani na ana camp huko, kazi yake ya deputy president wakati yako mashinani inafanywa na nani? Wakati tunaona waziri anatoka katika ofisi yake anaenda mashinani kukampenia an individual, that is the worst and the highest violations of Election Act na the Leadership and Integrity Act. Na kwa sababu IBC iko na tuko na the chair ethical na the entire IBC protocol and commission, ni wakati huu sasa kama tungekuwa na nafasi ya ku-exercise the independence, underlying independence ya IBC, ile IBC kusimama kidete bila kuwa katika political side yoyote, ni wakati sasa. Ethicon na your team, ni wakati msimame kidete, ni wakati mweke siasa kando, msimamie nchi. Nchi ni kubwa kushinda wale candidates ambao wanasimama, na tumeonyeshwa na wanasiasa, kina deputy president, kina cabinet ministers, wametuonyesha ya kwamba tunaweza vuja sheria anytime. Hii hatuwezi kama watu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na viongozi ambao tumesimamia mashirika baribari, hatuwezi kubali hayo. Vile tunasema asubuhi ya leo tukiwa KBC ni ya kwamba Ethicon na kamati yako lazima msimame kidete, kwa sababu msiposimama kidete, in the next 2 days you must be able to make tough decisions that you guide and govern and regulate uchaguzi ile tunagojea Thursday. Mhakikishe ya kwamba there is no political interference, there is no public utility of public resources ambazo zitatumika. Tumeona ya kwamba kuna resources nyingi sana ambazo zimetumika kutoka ofisi ya deputy president, kutoka ofisi ya cabinet ministers. Tumeona not only those two, kuna wengine ambao wamekuwa western, wengine wamekuwa Mombasa Magarini, na wote hata speaker of the Senate tumemwona Magalini akicampaign. That is hiyo ni kusema ya kwamba tunatumia pesa ambazo Wanjiko ama mwananchi wa Jamhuri ya Kenya mpiga kura anagojea hizo pesa ziwapatie JSS classrooms. Hizo pesa ndio tunagojea zilipe walimu. Hizo pesa ndizo tunagojea zitupatie health facility to streamline SHA. That is why wananchi wanaripa ushuru. Hawaripi ushuru ndio hiyo pesa itumike kununua helicopters za campaign na mambo ile mengine. Kwa hivyo tunasema ya kwamba IBC, the ball is on your court, tafadhali simameni kidete. Ile tumesikia kidogo ya kwamba mmekuwa bipartisan, tafadhali hiyo ikuwe water under the bridge. From today, the next 2 days, 24 hours, macho yote iko kwenye IBC. Na mmejua ya kwamba election 2007, election 2013, election 1992, the bottom line was with IBC. What are you going to do? Mtafanya nini? Ethicon ndio tuweze kumove to the next level of credible elections in the country. Thank you.
Asante balozi. Balozi ameanza na gea ya mlimani. Asante sana balozi Esther. Labda nirudi kwako Bi Luciana Wambuithi. Wewe ni mtaalamu wa sheria za uchaguzi na utawala. Haya yalozungumzwa na Indindi na balozi, kisheria yanaingiliana vipi?
Asante Rashid. Wacha nikubaliane na Henry kuwa katiba yetu ina chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, ambayo inasema kuwa watu ambao ni public officers ama state officers wako na an obligation of exercising their duties with a public trust.
Ndiyo.
Na wafanye kazi yao kwa namna ambayo inaleta heshima kwenye ofisi ambazo wanazimiliki. So when you see public officers, state officers campaigning on behalf of candidates, tumemwona CS wa agenda akisema mume wangu aliaga akiwa binguni, nataka angalie chini aone rangi ya yellow. I mean, those are things that violate the public trust, right? Lakini pia I think Kenya imerudi nyuma kutoka mahali ilikuwa 2010, na nilikuwa nasema hivi kabla tuanze. Wakati tulichukua katiba 2010 na tukachukua chapter 6 of the constitution, President Uhuru na Deputy President Ruto walituhakikishia kuwa cabinet secretaries hawatakuwa politicians. Na ukikumbuka cabinet ya kwanza walichagua watu ambao hawatashiriki siasa. Kulikuwa nafaa kuwa sasa na separation ya wale ambao ni wanasiasa na wale ambao wanashiriki ofisi za umma. Lakini sasa tumerudi nyuma. Tunaona sasa wale ambao wanamiliki hizo ofisi ni wanasiasa. Na sasa tumeona pia the Conflict of Interest Act ambayo imechukuliwa 2025 imeturudisha nyuma. Na imeturudisha nyuma kwa sababu ya hili. Section 25 ya hiyo Conflict of Interest Act inasema kuwa mawaziri at the national level na pia county executive commissioners wanaruhusiwa kushiriki kisiasa. Hiyo ni kusema kuwa kuna tofauti ya mawaziri na all other public officers. So cabinet secretaries wanaweza kushiriki kisiasa, wanaweza kushiriki katika michakato ya kisiasa, lakini pia tuna sheria nyingine, Election Offences Act. Election Offences Act inasema mali ya umma isitumike katika michakato ya kisiasa. Kwa hiyo tukitaka kuzingatia sheria, cabinet secretaries wanaweza kushiriki siasa, lakini watumie muda wao na mali yao ya kibinafsi. Tukiangalia campaigns za by elections wamefanya hivyo? La. Kwa hiyo ni kweli wanakubalika kushiriki kisiasa, lakini wanatumia mali ya umma, kwa hiyo wanavunja sheria. Now, hiyo Election Offences Act, the institution ambayo ina obligation ya kuimplement sio IEBC, ni DPP.
Ofisi ya DPP.
Hapo ndio pia shida iko. Tangu 2016 tuliondoa mamlaka ya ku implement the Election Offences Act kutoka kwa IEBC tukapatia DPP. Kwa hiyo hata tukipiga kelele sema IEBC ni vizuri mu implement hiyo sheria, the reality is the DPP is the institution that has the obligation ya kuambia mawaziri wacheni kuharibu mali ya umma.
Kwa hiyo Bi Luciana, kwa muktadha, kwa kifupi, swala hilo tunapoelekeza kidole cha lawama kwa IEBC, we are not being fair to them.
We are not being fair, lakini pia the Election Offences Act iko na kipengee kimoja, section 14. IEBC ina mamlaka ya kuitisha an account from county governors, from MPs, from deputy governors, from MCAs, anyone who is running a public fund. Section 14 of the Election Offences Act, IEBC ina mamlaka ya kuambia tupe an account of all the resources you have within your power before an election. And the candidate should give that information within 14 days. So the IEBC can do something in a mamlaka ya kuitisha that account. IEBC imefanya hivyo? La. So IEBC has something inaweza kufanya, lakini the backstops na DPP.
Na Indindi amezungumza vizuri Bi Luciana na amenukuu vipengele mbalimbali vya sheria zinazozungumza. Kwa hiyo kumaanisha hapa tukienda katika hizi by elections kuna sheria ambazo zimekiukwa mahali. Mkenya wa kawaida akikiuka sheria atachukuliwa hatua. Je, hapa sheria zimekiuka, mwelekeo ni upi?
Nitangulize kwa kusema hili kwamba ila moja tulionayo katika taifa letu ni kwamba tuna asasi ambazo tumezinyima meno ya kuuma. Tuna EACC ya kupambana na ufisadi, lakini haina mahakama yake, haina prosecutor wake. Tuna IEBC ambayo inastahili kuwa huru, lakini haina mahakama yake, haina prosecutor wake. Nafikiri siku moja nikijipata bungeni, huo ndo mswada ambao nitaanzia. Kuvipa hivi vikosi na asasi hizi uhuru wa kuweza kutekeleza yale ambayo tumewapa kisheria kudhibiti. Hilo ni la kwanza. Na alivyosema dadangu Luciana, ni kweli kwamba tumehamisha mamlaka fulani tukaipa ofisi ya DPP ambayo inaweza kwenda kuchunguza. Ninyi IBC mmesema hapa pana kosa, lakini ODPP ikienda kuchunguza inasema hapa hakuna kosa lolote la kumshtaki mtu, na hiyo kesi inakufa hivyo. Ndio sababu hizi asasi zinahitaji meno yake ya kuuma na kung'ata kisawasawa. Lakini sasa mustakabali wa taifa tuelekee wapi? Ni kwamba jambo la kwanza lazima tuwe na mjadala kuhusu maadili yetu kitaifa. Hilo ni jambo la kwanza. Lazima tuwe na mazungumzo. Haya mambo tulionayo katika sheria, tunayo ya kazi gani? Tuna nia ya kuyatekeleza vipi? Kwa nini tuwe nayo katika sheria bila kutekeleza? Inawezekana nafurahi kwamba hatimaye tulikuwa na viongozi wa kisiasa ambao waliingia katika wizara na kupewa ukatibu. Hilo si kosa. Lakini unapoteuliwa katika wadhifa fulani, lazima uwe na ujasiri na hekima ya kuvuka kutoka katika siasa na kuingia katika utendaji kazi. Sababu ya kuwa na viongozi wa kisiasa katika nyadhifa hizi za waziri ni kwamba kuna political communication, kuna mawasiliano ya kisiasa ambayo uongozi huhitaji, na wakati mwingine haya yanawahitaji wanasiasa. Ikiwa technocrat hawezi kuwasiliana, yanamhitaji mwanasiasa. Lakini yule mwanasiasa lazima ajue kwamba hapa nimetoka katika ngazi ya kuwa mwanasiasa pweke na nimekuja kuwa mhudumu wa taifa ili atoe huduma kwa taifa. Hapo tutakuwa tunajenga taifa bora. Na ndugu yangu, inasikitisha sana kumuona speaker amekwenda kijijini kumpigia kampeni mtu fulani. Kwa kweli wewe tayari wewe ni referee katika ngazi yako ya uongozi. Unakuja hapa kutafuta mtu ambaye atakuja kushika ngazi moja ya nafasi katika taifa lako. Utakuwa referee wa aina gani huyo mtu atakapoingia mamlakani? Atakapoingia bungeni kuanza kuhudumu, you will favor him, kwa sababu tayari ushaanza kuonesha dalili hizo alipokuwa akitafuta nafasi akigombea. Ushaanza kumpigia kampeni kumaanisha na mhitaji. Hata akija katika nafasi ambayo wewe ni referee, tayari ushampa jukwaa kubwa kushinda watu wengine.
Asante sana. Nirudi kwako Balozi Esther Waringa. Kuna swala ambalo pia tumelishuhudia na ni hivi majuzi tu tumesikia viongozi wakilalamika kuhusiana na rushwa, propaganda na vitisho. Yanaashiria nini kuhusu mazingira ya uchaguzi kabla ya siku ya uchaguzi mdogo? Ni jana tu kulikuwa na nipa nikupe kati ya aliyekuwa naibu rais Rigathi Gachagua na gavana wa Kilifi Gideon Mung'aro.
Nianze na kusema ya kwamba what I said earlier, ya kwamba IBC the buck stops with them on matters campaign financing and regulation, kwa sababu IBC is one of the key agencies ambayo tumeangalia kama watu wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kuhakikisha ya kwamba kuna mikakati ile ambayo imewekwa na various rules and regulations on elections, lazima iangazie, lazima ikue katikati ya, like for example tuko na DPP, tuko na DCI, tuko na judiciary, na tuko na all these agencies, na tuko na the police service. All these agencies lazima zifanye kazi pamoja. What we need is a multi-agency synergy kuendelea mbele kutoka leo. Of course, IBC being at the central point, we cannot run away from the fact that IBC carries the weight. It's the heart. IBC is the heart. But everything that's going to happen in the next 2 days revolves around the conduct and the regulation that IBC is going to put in place. Now, nikija kwako niseme ya kwamba pia mambo ya hate speech still the backstop with IBC. I know we have DCI, we have DPP, we have the police service and no other agencies, lakini IBC ni lazima macho yake, hakuna kulala, lazima macho yake ikuwe imefunguliwa, lazima they have to put their foot forward ya kwamba tutahakikisha credible election. Sasa nikija kwako, yes, tulishuhudia mambo machafu sana. Jana tuliona vile kulitendeka Narok, tuliona juzi kule Kakamega, tuliona Marava, tuliona Bere,
hata kule Ukambani,
hata kule Ukambani tuliona machafuko. Niwaulize ndugu zangu, hiyo ni by elections. What about the main elections? Are there lessons that we are learning? And are there gaps that we can fill between now na elections 2027? Niseme ya kwamba Kenya is a beautiful country and we have been celebrated. Even the Prime Minister of Malaysia congratulated this country. But how are we handling ourselves going forward? Pole kwa kuongea kwa lugha ya Kimombo, tupatie nafasi ya kuchanganya ndio we deliver the point. The Prime Minister of Malaysia congratulated this country and the beauty of the brains in the country country on matters socio-economic development. Lakini ile kitu inaangusha Jamhuri ya Kenya. Tunapoongea uchaguzi, tunapoongea anything to do with politics, the country is all wrong. Or it is the country inasemekana ya kwamba Kenya nchi ambayo ya kwanza inatumia pesa nyingi sana za uchaguzi katika eneo la Afrika. Number 2, the most violent elections in Kenya from 2007. This is something from 1992 when we were forming the IPPG. These are things that we have been evident in the country. How do we stop this going forward? And now we have experienced this in the by-elections. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 days when we are anticipating the elections to happen. All that we can do, number 1, sisi wa Kenya tu agree. Watu wa Bere, watu wa Kakamega, watu wa Bugoma, Marava na Magarini, tukubali ya kwamba amani inaanza na wewe mwenyewe. Wewe mpiga kura, tudumishe amani wakati tutakayepoenda kupiga kura. Wacha tusiwe tunagawanywa kwa sababu wewe unapigia kura huyu na upigie kura huyo mwingine. Let us not create a rift. Let us not create hatred. Let us not create. Na nyinyi wanasiasa pia mkuwe role models, kwa sababu wakati tunaona mkubwa deputy president anarushia maneno yule alikuwa deputy president, those are two heavyweights who are hurling insults at each other in front of our youth. What does that mean? Kwa hivyo tungependa kusema ya kwamba wherever you are, kama mwananchi wa Jamhuri wa Kenya, wacha ile image tuko nayo internationally idumishwe, na wakati huu kuonyeshana ya kwamba we can do peaceful and credible elections. Kwa hivyo kitu ya kwanza, wewe unaenda kupewa pesa uende ukarushe mawe vile tuliona Narok na Bere na Magarini. Please be home, get yourself something constructive to do. Kenya nchi endelevu, na hatuwezi kumbali ya kwamba mali ama mioyo inapotezwa kwa sababu ya uchaguzi. Kitu ya pili, all agencies, Inspector General, put your army right, strategically positioned in areas where we are going to conduct general elections so that we have security, enough security in those areas. Number 3, DCI, can we fast track investigations even right now for what has happened in the next 2-3 weeks? Can we fast track investigations? And in Kenya we have been having a very retrogressive culture ambayo tunaona the heavyweights wale samaki kubwa hakuna mtu anawaguza. Lakini wakati sasa DCI, I know you as a man of action, as a patriotic Kenyans, tafadhali let's start with the heavyweights so that it can be a lesson, so that it can be a lesson going forward to all our Kenyans.
Asante balozi kwa hilo. 32 dakika mtazamaji baada ya saa 2 saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki, endapo ndo kwa sasa unafungua kiwambo chako cha runinga. Hii ni KBC Channel 1, kipindi ni Zinga Good Morning Kenya, upande wa pili Radio Taifa, kipindi ni Zinga, na studioni niko naye Henry Mijeleo mwana wa Indindi, mtaalamu wa mawasiliano, utawala na diplomasia. Vile vile pia niko naye balozi Esther Waringa, kiongozi wa shirika la Public Service Governors, na niko naye ndani ya studio Luciano Wambuithu, mtaalamu wa sheria za uchaguzi na utawala. Nikirudi kwako Bi Luciana, tumegusia swala hili la chaguzi ndogo, ambapo tumeona kiwango gani cha ukomavu wa kisiasa. Kauli za wanasiasa, mienendo ya vyama vya kisiasa, tabia za kampeni zinaonesha taifa letu linasonga mbele kidemokrasia ama tunarudi nyuma?
Asante Rashid. Kuangalia chaguzi ndogo ambazo zitafanyika siku ya Alhamisi, ni vizuri pia turudi nyuma kihistoria. Tuangalie 2017 na 2007. Na nasema hivi kwa sababu hizi chaguzi ndogo zitatupatia kipaumbele na uchaguzi mkubwa wa 2027. Nasema ni litmus test. Kwa hiyo lazima tuangalie every time tumekuwa na an incumbent ambaye ana defend their seat, a president, what has happened in history. Kwa hivyo turudi nyuma 2007. You remember 2007 was the first time tulikuwa na a lot of violence. Lakini hiyo violence haikuanza 2007, ilianza 2005 wakati wa referendum. Again 2017 President Uhuru alikuwa anawania kiti chake tena. Tukakuwa na violence, tukakuwa na uchaguzi ambao ulirudiwa. Kwa hiyo tukiangalia 2025 and what we are seeing kwa hizi chaguzi ndogo, it's a small microcosm ya what we can expect 2027. Tunaona nini? Kuna uaminifu mdogo sana kwa IEBC. kama hizi duru za kuaminika za former deputy president ni kweli, wale ambao wamepatiwa mamlaka ya kufanya hizi by elections wanaweza kuwa pia wako compromised, and if that is the case, kama hizo duru zinaaminika, then that gives us a lot of room to worry, because what does that mean for 2027? Number 2, uhasama kati ya wafuasi wa these political parties ni mkali. Tuliona Kasipul Kabondo watu waliuawa, ilikuwa wafuasi wa vyama ambao walikuwa wanapigana. Ni vizuri IBC ilisimama na ikatoa faini kwa wale ambao walihusika, lakini inatuambia kuwa kuna a lot of political frustration na kuna uhasama mkali baina ya wafuasi wa vyama vya kisiasa, na ni vizuri tuulizane kwa nini tumefika hapa kama Wakenya. Why do we have this level of intolerance between political parties? Na tutafanya nini ili 2027 tuweze kuwa na campaigns ambazo zinaweza kuwa huru na kila mtu ana nafasi ya kupeana their options to the public. What happened in Narok is regrettable. Whatever your views about a political candidate, everyone should be allowed to go into an arena and present their views. Kwa hiyo, my concern going forward is there's a lot of closeness in the political space. It is mirroring what we are seeing in Uganda and Tanzania, and as we go into 2027, it is something to worry about.
Lakini vile pia Luciana, kwa mfumo wa kisheria, Kenya ni taifa ambalo limejengwa na mfumo wa kisheria. Na kweli katiba yetu inatupatia fursa, kila mtu ana haki ya kujieleza, kila mtu ana haki ya kujiunga na kundi, kufanya mkutano, lakini kuna utaratibu fulani. Wakati mwingine huoni kwamba wanasiasa huweza kufanya vitu bila kufuata sheria, alafu asasi za kisheria zikichukua mkondo wake, kidole cha lawama kinaanza kuelekezwa kwa serikali.
Ni kweli, vile tu mwenzangu alisema, kuna utovu wa nidhamu wa kisiasa Kenya, tukubaliane. Kwa hiyo lazima turudi, tuliulize maadili yetu kama Wakenya ni nini. Sio tu wanasiasa, ni sisi sote, sababu wale ambao wanatupa mawe sio wanasiasa peke yao, pia ni wafuasi wao. Kwa hiyo lazima badala ya kuelekeza kidole cha lawama kwa serikali, tujiulize kama Wakenya, mbona sisi wenyewe tunakubali kulipwa kuharibu mali ya watu, kutupa mawe malava, kuua mtu mwingine? Kwa nini mimi mwenyewe nimetoka kwangu, mimi nina nyumba yangu na bibi yangu na watoto wangu, nimetoka kwangu nimeenda kutumika vibaya kuharibu mali ya mtu mwingine? Sio lazima nikipokea pesa za mtu nitumike kuharibu mali ya mtu ama kuchukua maisha ya mtu mwingine. Kwa hiyo lazima kila mtu ajiulize swali hilo mwenyewe.
Okay. Nirudi kwako Henry Indindi. Labda katika mfumo wa kisheria, ni hatua zipi zinahitajika kubadilishwa kwanza ili kuruhusu mfumo huo kutekelezwa bila kuleta utata wowote?
Jambo la kwanza tunalopaswa kushughulikia kwanza ni udhibiti wa hela tunazotumia katika chaguzi. Hiyo ni sheria ya kwanza ambayo tunapaswa kuitilia maanani na tuipe msukumo mkubwa sana. Kwa sababu ndugu yangu, sheria inasema kampeni zikamilishwe saa 48 kabla ya uchaguzi. Lakini sasa leo na kesho sasa ndipo kuna kampeni zenyewe. Wacha zile rally mlikuwa mnatazama. Sasa leo na kesho na usiku wa kuamkia upigaji kura. Ndio kutakuwa na kampeni zenyewe. Manake sasa watu wanatembea na hela kutoka mlango mmoja hadi mwingine wakigawa hizo hela. Kwa hivyo jambo la kwanza ambalo tunapaswa kushughulikia ni kudhibiti hela zinazotumiwa katika kampeni za uchaguzi. Pili, tuangalie jinsi tunavyoweza kuyakuza maslahi ya watu, ya wananchi. Ndugu yangu, watu wakiwa na kazi ya kufanya, wana mapato, haya mambo ya kukimbilia shilingi 200 na shilingi 50 kwenda kurusha mawe hawatafanya. Kwa hivyo tuangalie ni vipi tunaweza kunyanyua uchumi wa taifa ili tuwasaidie hawa ambao wako idle ama wanaweza kupatikana katika vishawishi vya aina hii, wawe na kazi ya kufanya, wawe na mapato yao ambayo yanawezesha kujikimu. Watasahau haya mambo ya mbwembwe na kutumiwa na watu ili kuleta fujo. Na tatu, moja katika sheria muhimu sana ni hii ambayo nimeitaja. Hizi asasi ambazo tumezijenga kisheria, tuzipe mamlaka ya kung'ata na kutafuna. Lakini tukisema tuna IBC ambayo kazi yake ni kutambua ikiwa kuna makosa, lakini haiwezi kuadhibu makosa yenyewe kisawasawa, hapo tutakuwa tumeinyima mena ya kutekeleza kazi. Na mwisho kabisa, nilianza kwa kusema kwamba tuzungumze kuhusu maadili yetu kama jamii. Tuzungumze kuhusu maadili yetu katika siasa. Kwa nini ninazungumza kuhusu kwamba kampeni ndipo zinaanza Mbeere, zinaanza Baringo, zinaanza Kaspul, leo door to door? ni kwa sababu hatuamini katika sera moja ambayo sote tunaweza kuifuata. Angalia mambo ambayo yamefanyika Malava. Mgombea wa DNA ambaye amefanya kampeni hadi dakika ya mwisho. Anavuka, anasema mimi nitaunga mkono huyu wa UDA. Lakini chama chake kinasema sisi tunaunga mkono ile wa DAP. Sasa je, hawa watu walikuwa na ideology kama chama? Yeye alipoingia katika chama hiki cha DNA, alielewa chama hiki kinakwenda kutekeleza nini? Kwa sababu wakati mwingine lazima kuwe na chuma.
Haya, nirudi kwako Balozi Esther. Nimeona Senator Okiya Omtata ambaye amefika paka mahakamani akisema kwamba anataka lile pendekezo la kuhesabu na kutangaza matokeo moja kwa moja katika vituo kupiga kura kisheria liweze kuimplemented na sio TSU National Tallying Center. Sijui kiupande wako hili litaathiri vipi utendakazi wa tume ya IEBC kwamba kuna mapendekezo kura zihesabiwe pale pale kwa polling station?
Tungependa kusema ya kwamba one of the key factors that drive IEBC to give credible election results the transparency. Na transparency inapaswa kutoka all the way from the polling station, the lowest polling station, to the highest reporting office that is set by IEBC. Na hata kama sheria ya Omtata itakuwa accepted or not, the fact remains that ile sheria tuko nayo wakati sasa.
Shikilia kidogo Balozi, naambiwa twende mapumziko kidogo tu, matangazo ya biashara alafu tunarudi. Mtazamaji, ni saa 2:41 saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Endapo ndo kwa sasa unafungua redio yako KBC, Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya, na vile vile pia runinga yako ya KBC Channel 1, tunazungumzia kuhusiana na swala zima hili la sheria za uchaguzi, mpenzi msikilizaji, na kampeni. Lakini kwa sasa nipate pumziko fupi, nizunguke upande wa pili tupate matangazo. Tutakaporudi tutamalizia, usiende mbali. Kutoka Nairobi.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Both we come from United Kingdom.
Even you?
Yeah. Me, I come in United Kingdom slums. Listen very carefully, because this case you are going to be hanged.
Wewe ndiye nilitumia pesa sababu pesa ilikuwa na reflect jina yako.
And you say I'm calling you sugar? Look at me.
Oh yes.
I'm a perfect figure. I'm on a diet. That's all.
Yes. Con Kenyan ladies.
No. I'm more interested in, you know, the hippopotamus.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Tuulize na Kiswahili. Muulize na Kiswahili.
How can we contact young lady mheshimiwa?
Which con man? Which con man?
Yaani uko na macho ine na uoni.
Tia found out about everything that happened with Nora.
What did he say? He wants to get a divorce.
You also got their sister pregnant! You're good for nothing!
Take it easy,
Amador!
I no longer have the energy to show anything to anybody.
I need Nora and you to get out of here.
Did you hate me that much? Is it because you thought I stole our father's affection? Is that why? No. Dad? What's happening, Dad? 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 Dad!
Unaijua sauti ya iman ambayo ilisimama thabiti ingawa ilipata shida.
Miaka ilivyopita, Uislamu uliposimama imara, Mtume Muhammad aliamua kumchagua Bilal kuwa muadhini wa kwanza katika Uislamu.
Tumeona watu wakikata tamaa na wengine ambao hawana imani
wakaamua wengine mpaka kujitia kitanzi. Kwa wengine mmefanya makosa ambayo umeona yametutoa katika Uislamu. Usikate tamaa na rahma ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Ya Nabi salam alayka, ya Rasul salam alayka.
Karibu tena, ikiwa ni saa 3 kasorobo saa za kanda ya Afrika Mashariki. Asante kwa kuichagua KBC Channel 1 na asante kwa kuichagua KBC Radio Taifa Sauti ya Mkenya. Kipindi hewani ni Zinga na GMK ndani ya studio, tukizungumzia kuhusiana tanda belua ya sheria za uchaguzi. Kumbuka Alhamisi itakuwa ni chaguzi ndogo zinafanyika katika maeneo bunge mbalimbali, na vile vile pia kuna uchaguzi wa seneta kule Baringo, bila kusahau uchaguzi ndogo mbalimbali za wadi kote nchini. Na ndani ya studio tunazungumza mawili matatu kuhusiana na swala hilo. Na kabla kwenda kwenye mapumziko, Balozi Esther Waringa, nilikuwa kwako kuhusiana na pendekezo la kuhakikisha kwamba matokeo yanatangazwa pale kwa zile polling centers.
Nilikuwa nasema one of the key responsibilities that backstops with IBC ni transparency katika voting process, katika voting process, katika tallying, katika transmission. Kwa hivyo hata kama Omtata ameenda kotini, the law has already stipulated very clearly that voting in the presence of agents and observers, tallying in the presence of agents and observers, hakutakuwa na gap kamwe if we are to follow these rules and regulations that has been already put in place guiding transmission. Hakutakuwa na hata switch hakutakuwa na gap yeyote in terms of transmission of votes. Kwa hivyo kutoka pale voting pale polling, the lowest polling centers katika kila kijiji ya zile eneo zinafanya by election paka the National Tallying Center, the entire process, IBC iko na jukumu na sisi zote, kwa sababu kutakuwa na agents, kutakuwa na observers. We all have a collective responsibility to ensure transparency. Na wakati results zinakuwa tallied at the lowest tallying center, there is no alternation that should be done whatsoever. Once the voting tally has been done at the lowest polling center, then because of transparency, the agents, the observers and IBC officers must ensure that the same number of tallies get to the National Tallying Center without any alteration as they are. And that has been, hiyo imekuwa changamoto kubwa kwa changuzi ambazo zimepita, tallying and transmission of results. But I think this time with the very able leadership of Ethicon, hoping that they'll be able to maintain the same status of delivery, tuseme ya kwamba that Wakenya, hata kama hatutakuwa na maybe some of our TV stations will give us live coverage, hata kama hatutakuwa na hiyo live coverage, we are assured that the Independent Electoral Commission, we are assured that all agents, that all observer missions, that Kenyans themselves, the voters themselves, we will all take respective individual responsibility katika hii chaguzi. Wacha ikuwe chaguzi ambayo will be a role model, hata itatufanya we look forward to election 2027 because of the way we are going to conduct ourselves. Tusahau yaliyopita for the last few days, tukue sasa going forward a united nation, a united country. Tuseme wenye wako opposition, wenye wako serikalini, tufanye mambo yote kwa utaratibu mzuri. IBC, we ensure transparency, highest level of transparency in vote tallying and vote transmission from the lowest level to the highest level. I'm not sure that now we can really think of Omtata because we are only 2 days away. We would not want to interfere with the process.
Umelijibu vizuri sana swala hilo. Labda nirudi kwako Bi Luciana, ambaye wewe ni mtaalamu wa sheria za uchaguzi na utawala. Unahisi haya marekebisho ambayo Wakenya wanayataka katika sheria za uchaguzi, kuleta uwazi zaidi, yanaweza kutumiwa kisiasa kudhibiti matokeo?
Tuliona mwaka wa 2017 kama tunakumbuka, kulikuwa na chaguzi mbili za rais. Wakati Raila Odinga alienda kotini, tunaita Raila 1 2017, na koti ikasema kulikuwa na illegalities na irregularities. Baadhi ya hizo irregularities ilikuwa kuna forms mara 3 hujazwa kwenye uchaguzi wa rais. Kuna form 34A ambayo hujazwa kwenye polling station na huwa inajazwa na presiding officer. Hiyo form 34A akimaliza kuijaza pia huwa ana scan, inatumwa kwenye National Tallying Center. Halafu kuna form 34B ambayo inajazwa kwenye constituency tallying center. Halafu 34A na 34B personally zinaletwa kwenye National Tallying Center. The chairman anahakikisha kuwa hizo figures zenye ziko kwenye 34A na 34B ndizo zinaambatana na anajaza kwenye 34C. Shida imekuwa chairman anasema kuwa nina mamlaka kama returning officer kuhakikisha kuwa hizo namba zinaambatana, na nikiona haziambatani I should be able to change them. Hiyo inaitwa verification. What happened 2017, Maina Kiai alienda kotini akasema hiyo process ya verification ina alter the will of the people, because the will of the people ni kwenye polling station, na mahakama ya rufaa ikasema kweli the final expression of the will of the voter itakuwa kwenye polling station. Baada ya uchaguzi kukuwa na uchaguzi wa kwanza, Chebukati akarudi kotini. Akauliza koti, nifanyeje nikiletewa form 34A na 34B na nione zina makosa? Nina mamlaka ya kusema nimehesabu na haziambatani na nibadilishe? Koti kasema la. Kwa hiyo what Senator Oftata is trying to do is just trying to get the law to align with that position, that whatever has been declared kwenye polling station is the final result. Na koti ikasema kama kuna tofauti ya zile results ambazo zimekuwa declared kwenye polling station na zile ambazo zimeletwa kwenye tallying center, the chair of the IBC anafaa kuambia watu waende kotini, koti itaamua. Kwa hiyo hakuna mamlaka ya kubadilisha any figures kwenye National Tallying Center. Kwa nini hiyo ni muhimu? Ukisoma report ya Krigler ya 2017 alisema results huwa zinabadilishwa kwenye National Tallying Center, sio polling station. Kwa hiyo if this is passed into the law, what it will just do is cement the idea that what has been announced kwa polling station is final. Kama uko na any other ideas, let us Supreme Court itaamua. Yes.
Labda tu kwa dakika 1.5 kila moja tuweze kumalizia swali langu la mwisho. Amenigusa mahali baada ya uchaguzi ama ghasia za uchaguzi wa mwaka 2007 kuna tume mbili ziliundwa, tume ya Jaji Philip Waki na tume ya Jaji mstaafu wa Afrika Kusini Johan Krigler, na ziliweza kutoa mapendekezo mbalimbali kuhusiana na swala zima la uchaguzi. Nikianza na wewe Ndindi, je, unahisi tangu wawili wale kuweza kuandika ile ripoti masuala ya uchaguzi tumeadhibiti? Kwa sababu kuna kipengele aliandika kwamba lazima tuwe tayari chini ya miaka kama 2 hivi IBC kabla kwenda kwenye uchaguzi.
Tarudi pale tulipoanzia. Naam. Utovu wetu wa nidhamu na kutaka kukwepa uhalisia na hali ambayo tunapaswa kuitekeleza ndio tusukuma tukafika hapo. Ndiyo. Kwa mfano mwenyekiti wa IBC akishateua returning officer kule katika eneo bunge, yeye ndiye macho yake hapo. Lazima matokeo yanayotoka katika eneo bunge hilo yaaminike. Ikiwa matokeo ya kutoka katika eneo bunge hakuna tashwishi, hakuna mtu ambaye alitoka akatoa pingamizi kwamba haya matokeo yaliyotangazwa ya urais katika eneo bunge langu yanawalakini, wewe unakuja kuyabadilisha vipi katika kituo kikuu cha kitaifa? Kazi yako huku juu inapaswa kuwa kuyatangaza, kwa sababu yametoka katika afisa mmoja uliyemwamini ukampa kazi, presiding officer, yalipotoka kwake akaenda kutengeza form 34B katika eneo bunge ambaye pia umemwamini ndo macho yako kule. Ikiwa watu katika eneo bunge hilo hawakupinga matokeo hayo, wewe huna sababu yoyote ya kuyabadilisha hapa juu. Hilo ni jambo la kwanza. Na pili, hawa ambao mmewazungumzia walizungumza pia kuhusu hata hilo swala la hela tunazotumia katika campaign. Waliyazungumzia haya, lakini kwa sababu ya utovu wa nidhamu haya mambo tunayakwepa. Sasa tufanye nini ili kuliokoa taifa letu katika sheria za aina hii? Matokeo yanayotangazwa katika kituo, ikiwa hayana pingamizi, hayo ndio matokeo. Yakitoka hapo yaende kwenye eneo bunge, hiyo form 34B ndio ceiling ya hapo. Tukishafanya hivyo, ndugu yangu, tutatangaza matokeo ya urais katika muda wa siku moja.
Asante, nipate kauli yake balozi kuhusiana na je, kuna mageuzi yanastahili katika sheria za uchaguzi hususan tume ya IEBC?
Sorry, I was carried away by that statement ya kwamba tunaweza patiana presidential results within a day. That's a progressive country. Yes, sisi zote tunasubiri. Sorry.
Niko katika swala hili la mageuzi ya IEBC. Je, unahisi tangu hizi ripoti mbili za Wake na Krigler hadi kufikia sasa kuna mabadiliko constant ya IEBC ama bado lazima tufanye mabadiliko katika tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka? Kwa dakika moja tu.
Ningependa kusema lazima tuendelee na kufanya marekebisho, because change is not static. Change cannot be done in a day. Change is gradual. We have to keep on getting things better and better. And I have very great faith with the current establishment here, commission IBC, with the leadership of Ethicon and Derito and the rest of the commissioners. Kwa hivyo ile tunafanya what we need to do, as Ethicon said when he was being interviewed, that he's ready to identify all the gaps that has existed in IBC since time immemorial, na ziweze kukua field. And this is the ultimate testing time of the conduct and the delivery of IBC. Wacha tuone an excellent IBC, wacha tuone an IBC that is competent to handle our general elections 2027. Wacha tuone IBC ambayo mwelekeo wake ni kuleta wananchi pamoja, na pia wacha tuone the level of transparency, the level of coordination of elections, the level of delivery of results, the level of transmission of results IBC. So as I said from the beginning, it's a test space for IBC, and I'm sure that they can be able to deliver. Ile kitu ningependa kusema kama my parting shot number one is that we are calling for multi-agency synergy in this. IBC haiwezi peke yake, the DCI, the DPP, the police service, let's all turn up for our beautiful country to ensure a smooth process of elections and smooth transmission of results. Ya tatu, kwa wananchi wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, Kenya is our country. Kenya is our beautiful country. Tafadhali, mambo ya kuchukua mawe, kurushiana, mambo ya kuharibu magari, mambo ya kuharibu property, tuseme hiyo imepitwa na wakati kwa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Na ya nne na ya mwisho, politicians, let us be role models. Mambo ya kutusiana, kurushiana maneno, let it come to an end. The president said very clearly during his speech in parliament that we can get to the state of Singapore. And he said, yawezekana, that it is possible. I agree with His Excellency the President that it is very, very possible. But now we have to do away with retrogressive politics if we have to get to Singapore and the Asia Tiger space. Thank you.
Asante Balozi. Bi Luciana, na ukimalizia.
Hai. Rashid, acha niseme mambo mawili tu. Tukiangalia mahali Kenya iko kutoka 2007, Kenya imesonga mbele. Kisheria, hakuna nchi barani Afrika ina sheria nyingi kuhusu uchaguzi kama Kenya. Hii sheria moja inaitwa Elections Act, imebadilishwa zaidi ya mara 10 tangu 2011. Shida ya Kenya sio sheria, shida ya Kenya ni maadili. Kwa hiyo hata tukibadilisha sheria tena mwaka huu na mwaka ujao, kama tutabadilisha maadili ya Wakenya, sheria haitatusaidia. Jambo la pili na la mwisho, IBC iko na kibarua kigumu. Watu wengi wanaamini kuwa IBC sio tume ya kuaminika. Na ni vizuri IBC ijiulize itafanya nini ku win back the public trust. And that is a very important thing for it to think about between now and 2027. Watu wengi wanasema kuwa Ruto ameshaweka watu wake, hatuwezi kuamini hawa commissioners, hatuwezi kuamini the outcome of the results. IBC lazima ituhakikishie kama wa Kenya kuwa itaweza kutupatia uchaguzi wa uhuru na haki. Na tuambie between now and 2027 itafanya nini kutuhakikishia hilo. Ni hayo tu.
Bila shaka mtazamaji, haya ni masuala tuweze kuyajadili kwa dakika 30, 40, 50 au hata saa moja. Ni masuala ambayo tuweze kuyamaliza hadi kwa wiki moja ama mwaka mmoja. Ni masuala ambayo ni endelevu kama alivyosema Bi Balozi hapa. Mabadiliko yanachukua muda mrefu. Hatuwezi kuendelea mbele zaidi ya hapa mpenzi mtazamaji, ila tu bado kuna mengi ya kuzungumza. Kuna swala muhimu hapa la sheria. Wakati mwingi watu huweza kulaumu kuna hivi, lakini utakubaliana nami mpenzi mtazamaji na msikilizaji, tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka ya IEBC ilikuwa iundwe kitambo sana baada wale makamishna wengine kuondoka, lakini ni kupitia siasa chafu, wanasiasa wachafu ambao wamekuwa kitumia judiciary. Wao wanatumia judiciary vibaya, lakini kitumia upande mwingine inakuwa ndivyo sivyo. Ni kama Waswahili wanavyosema siku zote mkuki kwa nguruwe ni mtamu, lakini ukichoma kwa binadamu unakuwa mchungu. Tutakuja jadili mengi tutakapopata muda zaidi. Nikushukuru Henry kwa muda wako. Nikushukuru Balozi kwa muda wako, nikushukuru Luciana kwa muda wako. Kumbuka mtazamaji, yote ambayo umeyasikia kwenye kipindi hiki ni maoni ya wachanganuzi wangu, wageni wangu ndani ya studio, na kama hayana uhalisia wowote na shirika la utangazaji nchini KBC. Kwa niaba ya wote ambao wamefanikisha kipindi hiki, niseme shukran sana kwa watayarishi wa Moi Masila aliwaita The Great 3. Na vile vile pia Nancy Kemto, asante, na vile vile pia Cynthia Nyango upande wa pili, asante. Hii crew ya TV ni kubwa, nikisema na wataja wote sitamaliza, lakini asanteni sana wapiga picha na waelekezi. Hadi Jumanne ijayo, kipindi sawa na hiki, mada tofauti, wageni tofauti. Jina langu naitwa Rashid Momkondo na hii ni KBC Channel 1. Tunasema ni mbweksi si mbweksi. Kwaherini.
When the hills gave way in Marakwet, thousands were left with nothing. But together, we can help them rise again. Join KBC in the Restore Hope, Restore Earth campaign, Unity in Adversity. Together for Marakwet. Donate through paybill number 522533, account number 8036543, or drop foodstuffs and supplies at Marakwet County offices. Every shilling, every tree, every act of kindness counts. KBC, bringing Kenyans together.
Habari muhimu ni zile zinazoathiri maisha yako, na zinapojiri tuko hapo.
Tunakuletea habari zinazojiri nchini na kimataifa.
Hakuna kabila ambayo iko hapa Kenya kwa malipo ya mwingine.
Mambo ya matibabu isiwe starehe ya watu wadosi.
Tunakufahamisha kila wakati ili uwe tayari kwa yajayo.
We will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations.
Katika ulimwengu unaosonga kwa kasi, usahihi wa habari ni muhimu.
The only thing that has changed, Senator Khalwale, is that you are defending the indefensible. If you allow me as a bullfighter, I'll fix him here and now, and it will be sorted out.
You were doing very well until you brought out your character of bullfighting.
Tunakupa habari sahihi na zisizoegemea upande wowote.
Pindi tu walioteuliwa wataidhinishwa na bunge la kitaifa.
Na ni hapa ndipo
Darubini,
kila siku ya Jumatatu na Jumanne
saa 1 jioni.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. This is Health Tuesday. My name is Mike Migwi, sitting in for Vivian Ndego. And today, I want us to talk about diabetes awareness and advocacy. Now, diabetes is one of the major non-communicable diseases that contributes to millions of deaths annually. That is according to the World Health Organization. And many people really do not know, are unaware of the risk of especially type 2 diabetes. So where are we in terms of awareness and advocacy? In studio, I'm joined by Dr. Kitinda Acharya, from the national, who is the national chair Diabetes Kenya, and also a consultant physician and endocrinologist at MP Shah Hospital. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning.
Morning to you. And we later on we shall be joined by just Mwenda Kajuju, who is the founder of Dia Hope Africa and a young diabetes advocate. You know, let's get into this conversation, Dr. now.
Sure.
And given that the World Health Organization puts diabetes as one of the contributors to millions of deaths annually in terms of non-communicable diseases, why do you think, in terms of awareness, many people remain unaware of the risks that regard diabetes?
Yes. Thank you for having me today.
Karibu.
Yes, diabetes is like, you know, the iceberg. So what people know is like the tip of the iceberg. So by the time they see it, it's too late. They've hit and the ship sinks. Type 2 diabetes especially, 50% of people don't know that they have type 2 diabetes. There are no signs and symptoms. And of the 50% who know, they're not well controlled. So by the time they find out they have a complication which can be life-threatening, it's too late. You're trying to close the door of the stable and the horse has already escaped. It's bolted. By raising awareness and advocacy for all types of diabetes, by the way, there's 7 types of diabetes. You know, you mentioned type 2.
Yes.
So maybe I can start with that for the sake of the people tuning in. So diabetes is complicated, but we should simplify it. You know, otherwise people will just be like, oh my God, where am I? But it's good to classify so that people know in terms of what they should do. So type 2 is the commonest worldwide and here in Kenya. And type 2, you know, many people make the mistake of saying, oh, I have type 2, it's mild, it's lifestyle, I don't need medication. That's mistake number 1. Believe you me, type 2 is not mild. There are 11 causes of type 2 diabetes. So it's called the Agaricus 11. So don't go around saying, oh, I have type 2 diabetes, but it's the mild one. It's a lifestyle, I don't need medication. So don't make that mistake, okay? But it is the commonest. Good news is it's preventable. It's even, you can put people in remission. So we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? So there are, at the moment as I talk, this year, 2025, 7 types of diabetes. There used to be 2 types, type 1, type 2, that was easy. Then people said 3 types, 4 types, 5 types. Lo and behold, 7 types. So if your doctor and you yourself get your classification right, then your management is correct, okay? Sometimes it gets too much for a patient to know what type and subtype they are in. So broadly, yes, there are 2 major types, type 1, type 2. So type 1 is the young, you know, usually young people who get it and they need insulin because their pancreas is totally destroyed or damaged. They need insulin for life, and sometimes the parents are depressed, oh, my child will never be cured, they're on insulin. But that's just because of the way it's caused, okay? So once somebody's on insulin, it's easy going and they are controlled. Type 2, 80 to 90% of people in the world have type 2. That's what most of the Kenyans have, and I will be talking about that in a minute, okay, because of advocacy and prevention programs. There are other types of diabetes. When a woman is pregnant and she gets diabetes, it's called gestational diabetes. Once the baby is born, the diabetes goes away, but not end of the story, she can get diabetes later on, which is usually type 2, and the child can have problems later on. So by doing good measures in pregnancy, antenatal care, we can prevent that, okay? COVID causes diabetes, so COVID-related diabetes, steroid-related diabetes, genetic types of diabetes. There are subtypes, maturity onset diabetes of the young. You know, there are so many subtypes. So if your doctor gets the type of diabetes correct or the subtype correct, the management differs. This year, we came up with a term called precision diabetes. Precision diabetes is just getting the type right so the management is correct. Imagine walking around all day with the wrong shoe size. Or the wrong coat size, how uncomfortable would you be? So basically, if you get the size or the classification right, your management is correct. Now coming back to what you said, advocacy and awareness, there is a lot of myths out there about diabetes, that it's a curse, it's something that's curable. We get a lot of wrong medication being dispensed out there by the wrong people. That's where things go wrong. There are a lot of there's a lot of confusion. What is a normal sugar? How can you be tested? What are the right tests to diagnose diabetes? So I think if people just get the right information, I believe knowledge is power. So we need to just have maybe responsible media, maybe train more people out there. We can really win this battle, and it is a battle, believe you me. Even by the time we finish this interview, more and more people will be diagnosed, will be getting this condition setting in. It is a lifestyle condition, type 2, so just we can nip it in the bud by a healthy lifestyle.
Indeed. That is very important, what you've said. And one of the things that is coming out from what you said is that type 2 is one of the most common types of diabetes that is affecting people not only in Kenya but worldwide, and has 11 causes. I think you will be talking about that, and also when you look at what even the United Nations resolution on it, it calls for policymakers to participate in global forums, including the UN, to ensure that the advocacy that is being talked about when it comes to diabetes is something that shows success in many ways, because there's something that affects people and millions to that effect. And also when it comes to advocacy, it's something that even at grassroots level people need to make maybe even engagement with the locals when it comes to creating this awareness, because not many people know about diabetes, and some of them do not even know the risk factors, the symptoms. So engaging community in as far as this awareness and advocacy is concerned is very important. Now, regarding the question of type 2 diabetes, you said it's common. It has 11 causes. Maybe you can talk about those causes first.
So basically that's pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes. So it is a lifestyle condition. So of course genetics plays a role, but your lifestyle, you know, being sedentary, the chair is your enemy, so you need to be walking. But those are the broad causes. But when you look at the human body, so when I said 11 causes, that's deep inside your body.
Yes.
So it's, when you look at the pancreas, already 2 causes. So there's reduced insulin production by the beta cells, increased glucagon by the alpha cells. So that's what the lectures we give medical students. Increased production of glucose by the liver, increased appetite by the brain. You know, the satiety is reduced, so you eat more. Increased, the glucose is being reabsorbed by the kidney. Then there is increased inflammation in the body, increased production of glucose by the fat cells. So that's what I mean by the 11 causes. It's a very molecular level. So that's all this is happening in your body 24/7. So even as you sleep, your liver is producing more sugar. Your fat cells are breaking down the fat to produce glucose. Your brain is the satiety center, you know, in the hypothalamus. You know, you have this appetite. You know, people with type 2 diabetes will say they're hungry, they want to eat more.
Yes.
So that's what I meant by the 11 causes. So and then in the, you know, now there is even a link with your gut. So the intestine, you know, the enzymes and everything that's being produced, the probiotic, we talk about the bacteria in the gut, the colon, the gut, the absorption. So all these, you know, all these reactions that are taking place in the body, the pancreas, the liver, the fat cells, the brain, the kidneys, the reabsorption of the sugar, everything is actually taking place in a way that there is more sugar being made in the body and more sugar being reabsorbed in the body, whether it's in the intestine or the kidney. So no matter what the person does, you know, many people say, I don't eat sugar, but my sugars are still high. So it's not that somebody's secretly going and having the cakes and the sodas and things. The sugar is just being made. There's a factory that's going crazy, many factories in the body, in the cells, that is just producing glucose, and that's why we need more than one medicine for somebody with type 2 diabetes, and eventually they even end up on insulin just to put the sugar level down.
Yes. When it comes to screening, why is it so critical, and what should be the frequency of these screenings?
You see, the frequency of the screening really depends. So everybody is different. You're different, I'm different, Mr. M is different, Mrs. S is different. Everybody has a different profiling. But there has to be screening, at least for people. There are people who are at high risk. So somebody with a family history of diabetes is at a higher risk than somebody without. Somebody who's obese or overweight. So obesity is driving the diabetes pandemic. So we should all keep our weights down. Less is more. Somebody who's sedentary is at a higher risk of getting diabetes than somebody who's not. A lady who's had gestational diabetes or given birth to babies that are overweight or underweight, both extremes of weight, is at higher risk of diabetes than somebody who's not. So, you know, remember I said the different types of diabetes. So there are genetic predispositions, there are lifestyle predispositions. Then diabetes likes traveling with its fellow companions. Blood pressure, cholesterol, the other NCD is cancer. There's a risk between diabetes and cancer. So when you say NCDs, non-communicable diseases, diabetes is in the driving seat. Mental health, depression and diabetes are connected. Chicken and egg story, what came first? So we screen in people who are at high risk. The cost of universal screening is quite expensive. You know, if you went across the country screening everyone, it would be expensive. But yes, sometimes when you do screening at camps or, you know, across, we pick up, it's surprising how we pick up people with diabetes and also blood pressure. And it's important, type 2 diabetes, 50 people of 50% of people don't know they have type 2 diabetes, and an even bigger number don't know they have pre-diabetes. Pre-diabetes is before diabetes comes, impaired glucose tolerance. We are very excited when we pick these people up. Is diabetes waiting to happen? So that's very exciting because we can prevent diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is preventable.
Yes. And in your profession and career, what do you think? Are there rising cases of diabetes in younger generation?
Definitely.
And what is causing that?
Lifestyle. So you see, before we used to get type 1 diabetes in the younger people, which was autoimmune or because of the pancreas being damaged by autoimmune factors. Now we are seeing type 2 diabetes in the youth and in children, which was something that was not very common. It's very much a lifestyle factor. So the youth of today, we are seeing type 2 diabetes in them, which was supposed to happen at a much older age. So the youth, it's very worrying that they are getting type 2 diabetes. And we are seeing this worldwide, and we are seeing it in Kenya. So like I said before, obesity is driving this. So people are adding weight, sedentary lifestyles, the chair, it's our enemy, poor quality of sleep. So when somebody sleeps for less hours because they're on their gadgets or they're on the phone or on the laptop, and it's not because they're doing productive work. A lot of this is non-productive work. Mental health, depression, anxiety, all this is driving the diabetes epidemic as well. The environment, pollution, the car, you know, the less green, our planet is not green, our country is not green, we're destroying our environment, we're destroying trees. So the amount of, when the oxygen level goes down, carbon dioxide level goes up, the pollutants in the air are also contributing, and that's something as environmentalists we have to look at. We are losing the green space, lack of exercise, the diets, the amount of, you know, processed foods that the young people are consuming, the amount of, you know, junk food they're consuming, it's definitely contributing to conditions like diabetes, hypertension, all the NCDs, cancers, mental health. So we really have to assess what are the youth eating, smoking, alcohol, and we don't really, you know, we're not imposing taxes on these things. Our billboards are not giving the right messages. Young. The family units are breaking down, people are eating food on trays, they're playing with their gadgets, they're going from one screen to another. We are leading artificial intelligence lives, sadly. And all that is communicating to medical conditions.
From what you've said, it seems like this is not a one-sided approach when it comes to advocacy. It calls for everyone to be on board.
Including society. Yeah, our social norms are changing, sadly. Yeah.
What about the people in the grassroots now? Who plays that role of making sure that this awareness reaches to them and they know if this happens, we are going to drive the numbers up when it comes to diabetes?
I think it starts with personal responsibility. We can't start pointing fingers, oh, it's the government, it's the church, it's the, you know, faith-based organization, it's so and so. It starts with personal responsibility. So first it starts with you. Every person should wake up and say, hey, what changes can I bring to my health? It starts with you. So if you look at yourself and say, in a day, how much am I doing that's good for me? What are my risk factors? Profile yourself. Then after yourself, look at your immediate family. Look at the people you care for, your friends, you know, your people in your workplace. We spend more hours at work than we do at home. You know, this year the World Diabetes theme, nationally and worldwide, it's wellness at work. Wellness is very wide. Wellness is not just physical wellness, it's emotional wellness, mental wellness, psychological wellness, economic wellness. You can't look after your health if your pocket can't afford it. And then work is very fluid. Work is not just your office space. Many of us work from home. You know, after COVID, it taught us to do online teleconsultations, you know, we work with our laptops, we take our work home. Women, homemakers, they're also working. The people Ushago are going to the farms. They're working, they're running our country. So, you know, when people say work, we are not excluding the people who are working out there, urban, you know, rural Kenya. We are not excluding the homemakers working very hard to put food on the table for children. The children who are studying, who go to school, who go to universities, they are still working for a better future. So if we take personal responsibility, number one, it starts with the individual. Number two, the family. Number three, the community. Number 4, the nation. So we should stop finger pointing that it's Ministry of Health, it's government, it's your, we do first of all individual responsibility, then little nuclear units, and then we can go wider. So I think if there was that little bit of sense of belonging, we will achieve a lot more.
Yes. In your line of work,
Sure.
do you encounter stigma or misconceptions surrounding diabetes?
I do.
Especially amongst patients and families.
I do. I get a lot of stigma, especially with the people. I look after type 1 diabetes, type 2, all types. Type 1 diabetes, especially the girls, they are really stigmatized. When it comes to things like marriage,
yes.
There's a lot of stigma, especially around certain communities, when it comes to getting a suitable match for somebody with type 1 diabetes. Many communities feel the girl will get children with type 1 diabetes, which is a total, it's just, I don't want to use the word bullshit, but that's what it is. It's not fair. So the people with diabetes are really stigmatized. There is discrimination at work. They don't get the same employment opportunities. Like, for example, if somebody is trying to get the job of a driver, they'll be told that they won't get the job. Pilots, somebody's piloting license is taken away. But with CGMs and everything, the monitoring, it's quite safe because the hypos and the hypers, the balancing. And then again, that brings me to another thing. The cost of the strips, the cost of insulin, all that is so high that it becomes a daunting task for somebody living with diabetes to get the best management. And that is what, when advocacy comes in, we as the doctors, we as the advocates, we as the leaders of organizations, we are fighting so that there's equity. Somebody living in Isiolo, or somebody living in Wajir, somebody living in Lamu, somebody who comes from a resource-limited settings, a child living with type 1 diabetes in the slums should get the same level of care as somebody going to a level 5 hospital, a top hospital, in terms of whether it's the insulin, whether it's their medication, whatever it is. We should provide equity of care to anybody who is living with any type of diabetes in this country. And that's what we're advocating for.
And also, why is it that most of the time people become proactive when they discover they have a certain type of diabetes?
Well, I'm glad they become proactive, because it's very important they have the knowledge, they have the power, and they know about the diabetes. I always tell my patients also to involve everybody around them. The patient is at the center of that wheel of care, but it's also always important for that person not to hide their condition. So I tell them, if it's somebody who has a partner or a future partner, they should tell them, not hide it. They should tell their employer. Okay? If it's a child in a school, they should tell the other people in that school environment. There are times we have had to fight for children who have been expelled from their school because of having type 1 diabetes. Can you imagine the psychological harm that has done to the child? Because they've been removed from their friends for a condition that they didn't want, the condition that has already come with having to inject 4 times a day, and then they're told they can no longer go to their school and be with their friends because they have that condition. So in such a condition, we've had to educate and empower the teachers there, the school nurse, that look, this is not something a taboo, and you need to walk with that person who's having that condition rather than punish them for it. But being proactive is a good thing. The parents, the family members, everybody has to be empowered and educated, and that is why we now have diabetes nurse educators in this country. We have nutritionists, we have podiatrists. It's not just the doctors. We have support groups that are there, patient support groups. We do workshops for them. So it's really good. The ministry is really also taking a lot of initiative and action. We have our diabetes guidelines that were launched. We are one of the first African countries outside of South Africa to have our diabetes strategy and guidelines. We also have our NCD guidelines. So when it comes to a country, I think we have a lot of support systems. The only issue is maybe in Nairobi people know where to get these from, but outside of Nairobi people may not know how to access them. A lot of them are available on soft copy as well. But I think still there is work to be done, so we just need to know where people can go and access some of this. What remains to be done is a lot of this material is available we need to make it available maybe more and more in the vernaculars, and make it available where people can access and have more support groups set up. There are patient support groups. The type people living with type 1 the younger have their own support groups, but for elderly, maybe we need to have now more, we need to split it up into more, like the vulnerable, the elderly, people in pregnancy. We need to split the support groups according to the profiles of the patients. But I think in the last 10 years, 15 years, we have actually made a lot of headway. We've also done online training during COVID, Diabetes Kenya and Kenya Diabetes Study Group and the IDF study group. We have trained over 2,000 doctors and clinical officers online.
Yes.
We've also done CGM training, which is ongoing right now online. So all this training is happening with all the various institutions. We have made our there is a lot that has happened, but that doesn't mean we sit back and relax. I think we need to set the bar higher and higher because the cases are just increasing. So for every person that out there, who is being newly diagnosed, we need to give them hope. I think the best gift we can give to anybody who's getting a new diagnosis, empower them and give them hope. And sometimes when a patient is newly diagnosed, I find more than the patient, the family members feel very devastated, especially when it comes to something like insulin injections. They feel very scared of the needle. They feel very scared of a lifelong condition. If somebody gets, for example, pneumonia or malaria, I'm not saying they're not serious, but then once you finish with the course of the, 5-day course of an antibiotic, it's over. And they're better and it's over. But with diabetes, it's lifelong. And then there is multiple, you need the gadgets for monitoring the sugar. You need multiple medication. You need to see more than one doctor, frequent visits. So they need to plan, and there is so much involved. There's psychological issues involved. So we actually form very good relationships with our patients because it's a lifelong journey. So they actually become like family members. And you just form a rapport, and you really get to know your patient, because you can even tell as the patient walks in the door that today is not a good day, something has happened. It's not just about the sugars, something else is going on. So we actually form very good relationships with our patients, their carers, their family members.
Because that extends even to their mental health.
Yes, mental health is so important in a condition like diabetes. If a patient is not doing well mentally or emotionally or psychologically, they may not take their injection, they may not take their medication. The compliance adherence is affected in a big way.
Yes, there's something you said about patient support groups. We'll come back to that.
Sure.
But we're also joined by just Mwenda Kajuju, who is the founder of Dia Hope Africa, and also is a young diabetes advocate. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you.
Now, tulikuwa tumeanza conversation, and one of the things I would want to know in terms of policy gaps, what do you think are these gaps that limit diabetes care and prevention?
Yeah, my name, as you said, is Justa Kajuju Mwenda. I am a young leader in diabetes, IDF, International Diabetes Federation, and also a DDoc voice and founder Dia Hope Africa. Basically, this is a space for advocacy. And advocacy, it's not just raising awareness, it's policy change. So as a young leader being mentored by Diabetes Kenya, which is an association for International Diabetes Federation, we go through a training to make us understand what is the real awareness, which includes policy. And in most cases, that's when we don't include people living reality, people, the lived experience, then the health policy becomes better. We need inclusion of people living with diabetes. Last week we launched NCD guidelines, and pillar number 4 is is advocacy, which includes inclusion of these voices, formation of support groups, and extensively doing this awareness, not in the hospital setup, not only in conferences, not only in, in MOH, that setup of government, but also going deep into the villages, going deep into the slums, making people aware of diabetes or other NCDs. So as a lived experience, there is a need for inclusion, there is a need for participation of the lived experience and the society at large, so that we are able to handle the whole bit of it, like only the curative but also prevention. So there is a big gap in advocacy, in awareness, and we need that inclusion. That's nothing for us without us. Most of people will not understand what it is living with the condition. Pricking yourself 6 times. Sometimes you don't have insulin. So it's about inclusion. It's about the partnership and collaboration of all these stakeholders, the government, the NGOs, you know, and lived experiences in the society. I think that can bring a really lasting impact and solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you look at access to insulin and essential diabetes supplies, what do you think needs to be done so that there is equity in the access of these things?
In terms of accessibility, is a big problem, and it's the main cause of complications, which means if I'm not able to access insulin, it means I am at a high risk of complications. Most of people fear after they're being diagnosed, they fear, you know, the costs of getting these medications. For instance, insulin for type 1s and also type 2s. Nowadays, they're using insulin. They have insulin resistance, so generally the diabetes, persons living with diabetes, accessibility is a big challenge. Insulin is very expensive, and I feel government should, you know, put subsidies on it. And looking at the amount of money that is put, for instance, in Kenya, that's put for health sector, it's only 5%. You can imagine 5%. For a person living with diabetes, for instance, they need to use around 20,000, 30,000 a month. And that does not include mental wellness, which is also a big impact because of stigma. So accessibility is a big challenge, not only accessibility of insulin, but also accessibility of proper care, accessibility of proper medical like hospitals for these people. For instance, in level 1, 2, and 3, we don't have special clinics. We find them in level 4, or rather level 4, it's just by what? Level 5 and 6 in Kenya. That is where we get specialists like daktari. What happens to those people who are in the village, because we normally find level 1, 2, and 3? They are handled by nurses. By the time you understand the condition has progressed, you are in deep trouble. You have DKAs, you have DKA, you have other, you know, conditions like you find people are being amputated and all that. So I feel as much you're talking about accessibility, it should be accessibility of insulin, accessibility of specialists, and also awareness. Let these patients get proper education on management. Let the health practitioners get continuous education about diabetes, so that they're able to handle us, so that they are able to, you know, to help us to live long. We live in hope, and the more we manage the condition, and the more we are able to live long.
Yes.
So,
okay, continue.
So there is a need for accessibility of insulin, and also accessibility, and also let them provide this medication. For instance, I might go to level 1 or 2 or 3 hospital. I'm given Mextant, for instance, and then I go to another private hospital or a referral hospital. I'm given another medication. So there's a disconnect in terms of accessibility, and also those protocols that are meant to be followed for chronic diseases.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the breakdown of information in terms of your medical history when it comes to going from one hospital to the other and be given different medicines.
I would love to really comment on that.
Go ahead.
You can imagine maybe you're working in Nairobi right now. You have type 1 diabetes, or you have another chronic disease. you're being seen by Dr. Katinda, and then you move to Mombasa. You're not, Dr. Katinda is not there. You have a DKA, you rush to hospital, you are maybe in a coma, and those doctors, they don't have your history, so they will start treating you afresh. There's really a disconnect in that, and that's why I think we need a registry. We need data. That's very important.
Yes. Dr. She has said something about training, especially when it comes to level 1s and level 2s and level 3. Why is that important, given that this is where most people at the grassroots level go to when it comes to any medical condition, including diabetes?
You see, the trainings have been offered, they've been there. I've been part of those trainings, and they're free, by the way. A lot of them are online, because physically to go train is very expensive. You know, you need to accommodate people to come for trainings. You need to take them away from their workstations, and then they need to be replaced by people. So we have been doing when I say we, I mean Diabetes Kenya, the ministry, IDF school study group. The trainings have been offered. Yes, they're sporadic. I feel we need to do more because we need sustainable programs, okay? The trainings have been offered to doctors, clinical officers, nurses. I feel the gap is in pharmacies, because a lot of patients go to pharmacies. They may not be able to afford, or some patients, you know, there's still a nominal fee to be paid when you go even to a health center. So many patients, they bypass, when they go to buy the medication, they ask the pharmacy for help. So I feel one missing gap, in my opinion, is the pharmacists. So we need to train more pharmacists, because that is one of the missing links or gaps. So the next training, I've been pushing for pharmacists to be trained, okay? But sometimes when we do these online trainings and they're free and people get CPD points, we find not everybody is enthusiastic to join, because it's still time consuming, and then there is an exam to sit at the end of the training, because we give certificates. So maybe people fear doing that exam. I don't know what it is, because you can't do a training and be certified unless you do an exam. So many times when we say we have 2,000 slots, we have 1,000 slots for this training, please register, we put all the, you know, the messages out to every level of hospital and training center. We really find that some people will say, oh, I'm not interested in diabetes, I'm not interested in medicine, but you don't have to be interested, because people with diabetes will walk in everywhere. So we're really telling people, please train, you're going to get a certificate, it'll be good for your CV, but many times people are not interested. You can take a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. So I think we really need to motivate people to come for these trainings. So that is one area which is missing. The other thing, I think, the patients, we need more trainings for the patient, because the person living with the condition, there is a big gap in patient empowerment and training. So that is one area which Kajuju will also agree with me. If you train and empower a patient, that patient will have less complications. If a patient knows how to look at their feet, they know they're running into trouble. If a patient knows how to titrate their insulin doses so that they don't get this DK, means diabetic ketoacidosis, when the sugars are very high, it's life-threatening, or low sugars. So we need to focus on patients. We need more patient empowerment and workshops and trainings. And then the second, pharmacies. Those are, in my opinion, those are the two gaps. So as Diabetes Kenya, for 2026, those are two of the programs, and also with DioHope, those are some of the programs we plan to run next year. Yeah.
There's something you said about patient support groups. How do they run? And how, what can you say is the impact of these groups?
It's huge. So in Kenya already we have Diabetes Defeat Kenya Association. Ruben and his colleagues, it's an old association, and it's countrywide. It's every county. So they've done some good work. So there's no point reinventing the wheel. During COVID, they did fantastic work, you know, in terms of they were calling us and we were reconnecting patients. We were providing medication where it was needed. Yeah. So there are associations, but some patients don't know about these associations. And most of the diabetes support groups are connected to these patient associations. So sometimes we're called to give talks, we're called to give training. The ministry, again, with other diabetes associations, does training for these patient support groups. The patients themselves, you know, they give their own life experiences. So there have been trainings going on. But again, what happens is sustainability. People start with a lot of gusto, and then, you know, they burn out. So then the training needs to go on and be sustainable, okay? The people living with type 1 diabetes have their own, because they are Gen Zs, they do it more through social media. Kajuju has her own support group. With last week we had a walk at KU on World Diabetes Day, and all the universities joined us. And when I was in that amphitheater, I think I got goosebumps with the energy the people had. So I think with the young people, and also we had media, so with responsible media, I would have loved to have had more media, so hopefully we'll be back on your show with Good Morning Kenya and Wake Up Kenya, and maybe come with more messages. I think we can get the message out there, what we can do. We want Kenya, we want to be one, we want more messages going out there. What can we do as a nation so that more healthy lifestyles come into the country? We really want, the youth are the future for tomorrow. And also our elderly sometimes get neglected. You know, they're sitting back at home. What can we do to protect them, safeguard them? So there are different groups we need to focus on. There are people with diabetes sometimes, and or hypertension or dementia. That's another thing I want to talk about in a minute. What can we do for each medical condition so that it doesn't progress? You know, dialysis is expensive. It's one of the complications, most feared complication of diabetes. Amputation, she talked about. People really, culturally, really fear losing a limb, and also economically, you know, going to work, doing things. Low sugars, those are some of the biggest fears people have with diabetes. And dementia. Dementia and diabetes are very connected, and to me personally, it's very, very close. My mother had diabetes and dementia. I lost her, but before she passed on to another world, we had started losing her. We were grieving her while she was alive. Because when a person with diabetes gets dementia, you start losing them while they're still there. You're losing pieces of them, and you start grieving them while they're still alive. Because one day they know you and the next day they don't know you. So you're losing the person while they're still alive, and it's a very common complication of diabetes. Okay? So these are all complications, and somebody with diabetes really fears them. What if I lose my leg? What if I lose my memory? What if I go into a coma because of high sugar or low sugar? She knows. She's living with the condition. These are fears that are there, and as their doctors, you have to really allay those fears. And as I have a personal responsibility to all my many thousands of patients to make sure they never get any complication. So if I am to make sure they don't have high sugar, low sugar, they don't go in a coma, they don't lose a leg, they don't lose their kidneys, they don't get a heart attack, they don't get a stroke, they don't get any of those conditions, what can I do? I have to control their sugars, I have to control their blood pressure, their cholesterol, their weight. Girls with diabetes get polycystic ovarian syndrome, whether it's type 1 diabetes or type 2. That can affect the fertility. They can have miscarriages, they can get depression. What can I do to detect it, and what can I do to control it? There's so many dimensions. They get other hormone issues, thyroid. If I don't do my detective work, if I don't ask them the questions, if I don't do the tests, which cost something, if I don't put them on the right treatment, which costs something, so they have to budget for all this. If I don't maybe tell them get an insurance for a rainy day, again we need the insurances working with us so that they don't discriminate against somebody with diabetes and give them a higher, you know, premium to pay. We really need partnerships in this country, okay? So there is a lot that we can do at the beginning, and type 2 diabetes, like I told you, is preventable. So if we give the messages out to our country as a whole, the prevalence incidence of type 2 diabetes in our country is going up. Every year it's going up. It's going up in rural Kenya and urban Kenya. It's going up in younger age groups. Why is this? What can we do? There are things we can do. So let's put the message out there that we can do something to stop this. Why are we waiting why are we inviting something bad because of just being don't care, I don't want to know?
Indeed. Justa, what do you think is the role of the civil society, patient groups, in as far as shaping diabetes policies, national diabetes policies is concerned?
Data is a key thing, and right now I cannot say we have data for diabetes, or rather for most of NCDs. And policy, it is a lasting impact. That means the need of partnership collaborations and also inventions, including technology, to bring a system of which we have enough data, and also come up with policies that impact the whole health system. For instance, we couldn't categorize diabetes at its own. And then with that, I feel it can be able to be handled differently. For instance, table a motion in the parliament. Let the civil society analyze and, you know, come up with recommendations. Let the MOH come with the structures, and let the people with lived experience, let them come up with grassroots support groups, and then let's push a policy on categorizing diabetes as its own. Why? We have emergencies, for instance, DKA. I might have a DKA here, and you guys might think that
DKA, what is DKA?
Diabetes ketoacidosis, complications, mostly because of lack of proper management, which basically it's instigated by not using insulin the right way, management, follow-up and all that, even food. So if we can have subsidized insulin, we prevent a lot of complication, because if I can get insulin, I'm able to buy myself a food. I'm able, you know, to provide for my family, for instance. I'm able to, you know, even empower myself. So apart from subsidizing on insulin, we need mental health support. We also need rather psychological support. This includes, for instance, I'm amputated. The government will take me to be disabled. Yes. I'll get all the disability package, but with diabetes type 1 especially, I need to use insulin since I'm diagnosed until I die, until a medication is found. What does that mean? It means somewhere I might get complication, and the main cause is lack of insulin or proper care. So if the government invested on my management, then there are less cases of complications. So I feel in terms of policy, they should include us. I mean, inclusivity is a key thing. And having that conversation going on from the civil society, from the medics, from everyone from the society, it will bring a lasting solution to everyone. Yeah.
From the advocacy that has been there, and given the events that have been there in terms of making diabetes awareness and advocacy known to people, can you say it's taking root? And in terms of demographic, how are the younger generation taking it?
That's a really good question. That most of things, when you do things the same way, then you don't expect the same results. My main purpose for inclusion is that there's technology that was not there like 20 years ago. Yes. As young people, we've grown through technology, and we couldn't talk of things like CGM, insulin pump and all that. We find them on our phones every day. We try to see sometimes if there is a possible medication. And this is because young generation is wired differently, if I might say. Sorry, actually, in terms of inventions, in terms of technology, we are wired differently. So something that was invented in maybe in 10 years could be modified and became better. But if we don't include young people, then if we lock them out, then I feel it's not going to bring any impact. It's not going to bring any innovations, and will remain the same with the same guidelines and all that. So when young people are empowered, especially the lived experiences, they are able even to go back to their home. They are able to go and take care of their parents, of the society. They are not, young people, Gen Zs are not shy of speaking out. They will, for instance, we end a walk in KU, 2,000 young people. To my surprise, no one from MOH came. And that's the inclusion we are talking about. There was another one in Amref. We had a support group of young people. They were all complaining they were not given a chance to speak. But a simple thing, like we had a standing ovation for students living with diabetes. They were all emotional, they felt seen. And that's patient empowerment. Okay. And I see Kajuju is living with diabetes, Omondi is living with diabetes, Wanjiko is living with diabetes. She's doing well, she's doing a master's, she's a doctor, she's an engineer, and it brings that empowerment. So we start from, you know, young people and also include everyone. Okay. So advocacy is key, and it also makes the work easy, because now when you learn about self-management and all these, then we build a very strong society and also live long.
All right. I want to give you each a minute to just give that message that you think many people may not have regarding diabetes. And I'll start with you, Dr.
I think any Kenyan out there living with any type of diabetes, type 1, type 2, miscellaneous, like I said, the other types, you need hope, okay? And you need, if you feel you don't have the right, empowerment, you don't have the right information that you need, the information is out there. Please get it from your doctor, get it from your healthcare practitioner. Make sure that you go regularly for checkups, know your sugar, know your blood pressure, know your cholesterol. Make sure that there is no reason that you should be getting a complication, and don't live in fear. Don't live in fear of any complication. There is no need for you to get any complication. There is, feel well. This is a year of wellness. That's our theme. Wellness is physical, mental, emotional, psychological, financial. Okay. Empower yourself, take care of yourself, and good morning and good health, and we are together, pamoja.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kajiji.
I would like to say that advocacy is a collective thing. Yes. It includes all the stakeholders, and for the young people living, or rather people living with diabetes, we should really take care of ourselves. For instance, I say I have diabetes, but I have my life. I need to push my dreams and everything. So you should not let it limit you. But also we ask a collective collaboration to, promote better living choices, diets, and also support from the government. So it is easy to live with diabetes if you can manage it well. You can live up to 100 years. You can achieve your dreams. You can achieve whatever you want in this world. So it should not limit you. Okay. Yeah, but I would also like to say we need accessibility of insulin. We need a better capitation for SHA, and we need support from the society.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. That is Justa Mwenda Kajuju, who is the founder of Diahope Africa, and also she's a young diabetes advocate, and Dr. Kitirda Acharya, who is the national chair of Diabetes Kenya, consultant physician and endocrinologist at MP Shah Hospital. This conversation ends here, and I hope you have learned a thing or three. And this is where Good Morning Kenya comes to an end. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mike Migwe. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Data gathered by your car can be useful to us, though. It can help us get from A to B faster and more safely. Take a look at this project from Europe.
Cities and transport agencies are collecting more traffic data than ever before, with cameras, sensors, and other technologies all being deployed. The aim? To optimize commutes and reduce the number of unused vehicles on the road. Vianova is a micro-mobility agency based in Paris, specializing in data on scooters and bikes. modes of transport which reduce congestion and emissions.
We realized that, of course, these new modes of transport were bringing great benefits to citizens, but at the same time bringing a lot of chaos on the streets that cities were struggling to deal with.
Recently, mobility companies and public transport systems have begun compiling vast amounts of raw data. This data is then used by cities as they see fit.
A lot of industries today have massive amounts of data that they don't know what to do with yet.
Data analysts then collect and aggregate everything into maps like these, while agencies like Vianova visualize the data. Their maps are responsive and interactive. This provides different kinds of anonymized information on residents' movements, which is useful for public authorities.
Cities would be able to understand which areas of their territory is more used in terms of trips departures or trips arrivals. They will also be able to better understand the mobility patterns from point A to point B. And in that regard, they will be able to analyze whether these trip patterns are using a certain kind of infrastructure. So, for instance, is it using bike lanes or bus lanes or just pavements? And then, based on this analysis, we'll be able to plan the missing infrastructure.
Belgium's capital, Brussels, works with data analysts to get a better overview of the usage of e-scooters and rental bikes in the city. Brussels has seen one of Europe's most significant increases in shared mobility concepts. Data analytics helps Brussels city planners better understand how mobility operators use public spaces and how best to regulate them.
We regulated much higher than before. So starting from 2024, there will be less vehicles, less providers, more strict rules in terms of parking.
The city is working on a sustainable mobility plan. And if all goes well, digital solutions like this will become more common across Europe.
It's a solid place to start, but for many in the tech industry, it's a bit bland. They'd rather conjure up the really big ideas. We spoke to tech writer Paris Marx.
Instead of kind of really mundane things like invest in buses and, think about how we distribute street space and maybe make some cycle lanes, it sounds a lot more attractive to say, the cars are going to start driving themselves and we're going to make this new tunnel system for transportation and we're going to have flying cars finally.
Investors and media can't get enough of bold, high-tech new transit projects. One of the most glaring examples is Hyperloop, a high-speed, above-ground vacuum tube popularised by Elon Musk in 2013. British billionaire Richard Branson, owner of Virgin, also supported it. In 2017, construction began. Passengers were to travel 1,000 kilometres an hour across the US, India and the Middle East. But the closest this came to materialising was a single test reaching just 160 kilometres an hour. And the costs were far greater than predicted. Undeterred by the failure above ground, Musk opted to go underground. First, he pledged to dig elaborate systems of tunnels under cities where 16-person self-driving pods could zip around with ease. That quickly became a pledge to develop a system of so-called skates, which would sweep electric cars across towns at speeds of up to 200 kilometres an hour. What did end up being built in the end was the Loop, a one-way tunnel for Teslas to meander through at a mere 64 kilometres an hour. Well, at least it exists.
It is mainly just an attraction for Teslas. It's a way to sell Teslas. It's not really affecting traffic. It's not really solving transportation problems. It's really, I call it a Disneyland ride for Tesla fans.
Despite the ill-fated glory projects, the Loop is to be expanded to almost 50 kilometres. The projects play to the imagination and garner capital. But can it solve traffic problems? Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
So if big tech won't solve our traffic problems, who will? If you ask me, we shouldn't just sit back and wait for flying cars to come save us. It's always best to start small with the realistic ideas that can actually make a difference. Otherwise, we could end up waiting years for big tech to become affordable. As for me, I'll be taking the tram home for now. How do you like to travel? Do you have good public transport in your neighborhood? Let us know. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Found out about everything that happened with Nora.
What did he say? He wants to get a divorce.
You also got their sister pregnant! You're good for nothing! Take it easy, Amador!
I no longer have the energy to show anything to anybody.
I need Nora and you to get out of here.
Did you hate me that much? Is it because you thought I stole our father's affection? Is that why? No. Dad? What's happening, Dad? Dad? Dad?